This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
We still have an executive session?
Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the month of April 1, 2019. My name is Vern Carlson, and I'm the chairman of the commission. Before we get to the commission, let me introduce our staff. Andy Galavacqua, out to our extreme right. He is our town engineer. Next to him is Alan Frederickson, our land use administrator. To my left is Mary Lee Radzewski. She's our court reporter. And next to her is Pam Miller, our staff secretary. With that, our staff.
Jim Giletti, regular member.
Teresa Ranciato Vili, regular member.
Ron Panton, Vice Chair.
Richard Wilson, Secretary.
Okay, that takes care of that. Okay, before we get going, before we get into this, let me just explain how this works to you. Those of you may not know, the applicant will bring the application to the commission. The commission will ask its questions, and if it's a public hearing, we'll open it up to the public when we're through with the applicant. And the public will have all the opportunity to ask any questions they have in respect to a public hearing. When we get into site plans or deliberation, there is no public input, so of course there will be none. With that, let me ask our land use administrator, is there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there are a few deletions. Item number 2, P1904S, and that's coupled with item number 9 and item number 10. 381 State Street, that's off. They've got to get through wetlands first. Additionally, items 7 and 8 relative to 400 Sackett Point Road are off, continued to the May meeting. And also item number 13, P19-10, 57 McDermott Road. They've got to complete their wetland experience as well. So all those are off.
Okay, if there's anybody here for any of those, will not be heard tonight. With that, we can move forward, and we'll start off with the agenda, which we have an 824, which is an application for the town of North Haven in regards to the widening of the bridge on Sackett Point Road. Can someone explain that to us, Alan, or Andy, or whoever?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Andy Galavacqua, again, town engineer. At long last, we're finally ready to go to construction on Sackett Point Road Bridge replacement. Anybody who's been over the bridge recently can see that it clearly needs to be replaced. The construction basically extends from Universal Drive to Republic Drive. We're going to retain one lane of traffic in each direction throughout construction, and the final condition of construction is also going to have one lane in each direction. Construction will be handled in 4 construction phases as they move to the different sides of the bridge to make the construction happen. But one lane of traffic will be open throughout the construction period. That was something that was a very important aspect from the town's perspective. Estimated construction cost around $13 million. We should be opening the bids hopefully in another week or so, and construction will get started as soon as we can, probably in May. Funding is 80% federal, 10% state, and 10% town. That's how it worked out.
How long do you think the project's going to take? It's going to start in May. When will we?
It's about 3 years construction duration.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to clarify so everybody understands, so for most of those 3 years, we're going to have one lane in that area of Sackett Point Road, correct?
One lane in each direction.
During construction?
During construction.
A lane in each direction?
Correct.
All right, misunderstood.
Yep.
Good.
That's one of the reasons why the construction period takes so long. You know, if we went with alternating one-way traffic, we'd probably do it in 2 or maybe even less.
Yeah, but it'd be a nightmare.
Exactly. With all the traffic that runs through there, especially all the big truck traffic, we felt it was important to keep, one lane in each direction running. So.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's the way the project's going to go for sure.
Yep.
Okay, good enough. Please. Any
Nope,
questions?
no questions at all.
I've had all my questions before, so.
Okay. Rich, any
No,
questions?
I'm glad the bridge is getting
Thank you very
rebuilt.
much.
Yes.
Anything from Alan? No? Okay, thank you. This application is closed.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich, would you read the call of number 3P19-07?
Subdivision application of North Haven Homes LLC, applicant and owner for 2 lots relative to 678 Middletown Avenue, map 39, lot 15. Land entitled Property by Topographic Survey Land, now or formerly North Haven Homes, LLC, 678 Middletown, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Bennett and Sellers Associate Incorporated, dated January 31st, 2019, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, R40 zoning district.
Okay, this is the applicant, and folks, this is a public hearing, so we will be opening up this to the public after we're done with the applicant.
Good evening. My name is Mike Bennett. I'm a professional land surveyor in the state of Connecticut and a principal with the firm of Bennett & Smilas Associates, 415 Killingworth Road, Higginham, Connecticut. We're here for a subdivision of 2 lots for property located on the northwest side of Middletown Avenue. At 678 Middletown Avenue, if you look at the key map, it's just a little bit south of Velvet Street. We have, on the property itself, it's 4.75 acres, the total property. There's an existing house on it, septic system and well. There's wetlands area in the rear of the property. We're proposing to subdivide this into 2 lots. The existing house will be on Lot 1, which will have approximately 1.6 acres of land. Lot 2 will be the remaining undeveloped land, and that's going to be approximately 3.18 acres of land. On Lot 2, you'll see, if you're familiar with this site, right now all the frontage on Lot 2 is mowed lawn. And if I just quickly jump to the proposed plan. You'll see that we have a proposed house on Lot 2. It's on the northerly side of the lot. We have a driveway, a front-loaded driveway that comes out and goes northerly and then connects to Middletown Avenue where there is an existing driveway cut now. We've got a proposed well in the front yard. We have a septic system shown on the south side of the house. It's diagonally across the lot. We were showing a proposed stockpile area in the rear of the house. We have a connection for the roof leaders into a galley system that will collect the first inch of runoff from the impervious surface. And then in that area, there also will be a footing drain outlet that will come out parallel to that and discharge into a 2-foot wide by 6-foot long stone trench that's 1 foot deep. That's pretty much the application. The other thing you will note that we are showing sidewalks along the frontage of the property in conformance with the regulations, but we have asked for a waiver of the sidewalk regulation. In this case, we're on Middletown Avenue. It's a state highway, and there are virtually no sidewalks on this street. If you were to go southerly towards south of the property, be about 1.5 miles till you get almost down the Quinnipiac Avenue till you get sidewalks. There is one short piece of sidewalk opposite opposite where North Hill Road intersects Middletown Avenue. There was a 3-lot subdivision there that installed sidewalks. There was about 160 feet on Middletown Avenue. If you go north from this site, there are no sidewalks between this site and the town line. And then once you go past this house and you go past Stelvich Street, you have a cemetery, you have a large farm there. So we're requesting a waiver of the sidewalks for this. Also, on another application a couple years ago for 845 Middletown Avenue, sidewalks were waived. Again, because there are literally no sidewalks on Middletown Avenue. We have submitted to staff has copies of review comments from the Quinnipiac Valley Health District. We did soil testing throughout the property in conformance with state regulations. We show a code compliant reserve area in the back of the existing house. And we also show a proposed septic system and reserve area for the new house. The Quinnipiac Valley comments have said that that is acceptable. And we've reviewed staff comments from both Andy and Alan, and we find them all acceptable to us. So with that, I'll be brief and end my presentation and be happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
In respect to the sidewalks, where's the sidewalk south of this? You were saying there's some sidewalk. Is that on the corner of North Hill Road?
Yes, there's about 160 feet that's on Middletown that's on the corner of North Hill Road, and it wraps around on North Hill Road for probably another 160 feet.
On the other side of Middletown.
On the other side of the street, correct.
That's on the east side, you're on the west side, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And you've been to ZBA in respect to this, you've got any variances that you need? Did you need
No,
variances?
we don't need any variance
You
for
didn't need
this.
any.
They have not been to ZBA.
They have not been.
No,
Correct.
not necessarily.
Good enough.
Wetlands?
It conforms to the regulations.
That was my next question. You went before wetlands?
Yes, we went before wetlands, and we got an application approved by wetlands.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, I only have a couple questions. There's no water, no sewer up there?
Correct.
That's why...
That's why we have well and septic systems.
Okay. And just tell me why the configuration of the lots the way you did. I don't have any problem with it, I'm just trying to understand your thinking. Like, you kind of squared off the lot for the house that's there and then gave all the land to, almost the rest of the land to the other lot.
Yeah, this is kind of an existing house.
Right.
And the value is kind of set by the house itself. Here you have an opportunity where maybe a larger parcel, although most of it's wetlands, and a new house might give it a little more value. Other than that, there was no reason. We could have, connected from here to there and
That's kind of
split it either way, but...
But the back of that is almost all wetlands anyway.
Yeah, this is... Yeah.
Yeah,
You
okay.
see the green area on this, it's almost all
Almost all.
wetlands because, and then you also have a gas line that runs through here. So the rear part of this lot is useless. And we've kept all our proposed construction improvements outside of the upland review area. It's virtually all happening in this mowed lawn area.
Okay.
So what they have from wetlands is a permit to conduct regulated activity and a positive site plan approval. In the lower left-hand corner of that wetlands, which is the green shaded area, there's sort of a brown shaded area. What they're doing is they're remediating, if I can use the term, but there's a pile, a topsoil pile that's there. There's another pile, there's some outdoor storage that's been there a while, and it just, I don't even believe they knew it was in the wetland or the wetland buffer, but they're gonna remove that stuff, and that's the regulated activity.
Teresa?
No, I don't have any questions.
Ron?
Fine.
Andy, you didn't have any real comments, but it says see attached inland wetland comments, and there weren't any attached. Is
Well,
there
I did make
anything,
it to your packages.
anything we need to be concerned?
Yeah, no, essentially the wetland comments more were related to just cleaning up the buffer area and the areas in the back where they had miscellaneous stuff all over the place. So those were my major concerns on the site.
Okay,
Outside of that, no, there wasn't much. Pretty
that's all
straightforward.
I had.
Rich? Any questions?
No, I just wish we were getting even a small sidewalk, but
Let me,
No.
let me jump in on that too.
We
'cause
haven't got to that yet.
Yeah.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
know, but just so that we're all on the same page, I'm of the same mindset generally. It's tough to put this on this particular landowner, because there really aren't any all the way as you go south until actually the affordable project. Then there are sidewalks there, but that's quite a ways away. I wish there were, because the road's kind of dangerous, and people do walk in it, and people have gotten hurt. But to make them put it for this length of a thing,
See, yeah, and my
we can
thought,
talk about it, but.
my thought was too that it would be nicer if it was going down, if it was side on Velvet Street, I would have liked to see them there, but on Middletown, I'm not. Thinking they're not gonna connect to anybody.
I'm sure we'll talk
Okay,
about it.
Yeah.
all set.
good enough. Very good. Staff? Okay. Okay, is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in favor? Anyone in opposition? Any questions? This application is closed.
Thank you.
Okay. Rich, you want to read in P1909S?
Sure. Special permit application of Timothy J. Lee, applicant Slate School Incorporated, owner relative to 124 Mansfield Road, map 77, lot 17, plan entitled Greenhouse and Garden, Slate School, 124 Mansfield Road, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Malone and McBroom, dated March 7th, 2019. Scale is 1 inch, equals 20 feet, R40 zoning district.
Okay, this is,
Mr. Chairman, I'll be recusing myself.
okay, let the record show that, Pam, that Ron will be recusing from this application, and we have no one here tonight to sit in, so we'll be operating with 4 members, okay? Okay. Okay, this is also a public hearing, so we'll be open up to the public. Go ahead, Tim.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Timothy Lee. I am the attorney for the Slate School, who's the owner of the property at 124 Mansfield Road. With me tonight is Julie Montcouncil. She is the head of school. Tom Daly from Malone and Broom, and the architect Paolo Campos from Patriquin Architects. We're here on a relatively simple application tonight, I hope. We're here for approval for 3 things. One is the location of a greenhouse on the property. The greenhouse will be used for the educational purposes. The grammar school students will grow plants, flowers, vegetables, fruit, that type of thing at the greenhouse. Greenhouse is located right there. We also have outdoor planting beds, once again, for fruits, vegetables, and flowers. And then finally, we have outdoor playground equipment. The outdoor playground equipment was shown in a generic form on the original application, but over the course of the last year, the school, along with the students, have been involved in designing the actual outdoor playground equipment that's going to be located on the site. Since these are all implicate the site plan approval that we had received and the special permit approval we had received. We're back before the commission asking for approval for the greenhouse, the location of the playground equipment, and the location of the planting beds. I will state that none of these changes are going to result in an increase of enrollment in the students. When the P&Z approved the application 2 years ago, there was a cap of 70 students. We are honoring this cap of 70 students. We're not looking to increase the enrollment. All these improvements are going to be designed for use of the existing student body up to and including the 70 students when we get to that point.
Okay. Just to get it out there, you've been to wetlands with this and received a positive,
That's correct. We were at wetlands last week. There are wetlands on the property. Wetlands Commission has a 50-foot upland review area. All our activity is outside the 50-foot upland review area for the Wetlands Commission, so they approved us last month and sent us on to P&Z.
okay, very good, Tim. Thank you. Jim?
Could you just show me on the plan where the playground equipment is going to be?
No, see, it's right down here either.
This is the existing classroom for the school. This is the proposed greenhouse location. This is the proposed planting beds. This is the existing tree line here.
Yeah.
And the playground equipment is going to be located in these boxes.
Oh, in the box that,
It's going to be within the box area, yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
okay, so it's not delineated
specifically delineated. And what are you talking about playground equipment? What is it?
over here.
There's a schematic that shows the...
On sheet SD2,
Yep.
there's sort of a detail of each particular area.
No, not over here. I know,
No,
I'm killing
one
Jim
before.
here.
Tsunami.
Back one.
Up at the...
Yeah. This is it here.
Yeah, right there.
SD1.
Just tell me what it is.
Yeah, no, we don't have it on SD 1 or 2.
Should be on the SD1 sheet that's dated March 7th of 2018, up on the top.
Oh, I have February, okay, that's why.
Okay,
I have the oldest
just tell me
date, we're good.
Tell me what it is.
We have diagrams of what it looks like. There's a wood log climbing area. There's a kind of a lookout tower, which is just a platform built into the tree. And then there's kind of a sunken gathering area, kind of like a little bit of an amphitheater where the students can sit, the teacher can teach, and that type of thing.
And with regard to the greenhouse, can you tell me what the visibility is of that greenhouse from the road? Meaning that, will you be able to see it from the road?
The answer is you would not be able to see it any more than you could see the current version of the school. When you're driving down Mansfield Road, we have the tree line right here, which kind of blocks the view of the school from the road, and the greenhouse. That's Tom Daly for the record. He's identifying where the
So-
greenhouse is compared to the road.
To give you, this is the overall, Tom Daly for the record, this is the overall scale. It's
Right.
really tucked up in here, and if you're out here, you can barely see into here, but this is all wooded through here, so, I mean, I don't think you're gonna see it, and it's smaller than this I'm not sure you can actually see this building. You can see these
Can
three
see the
buildings.
ones on the left.
But this, so it's really tucked in right to here, so it's my opinion that you're likely not going to see anything. And it's only,
At its peak, it's 12 feet high.
it's,
Okay, that's all I have.
Teresa?
No, no comments, except that I think it's great teaching tools, so, no.
Rich? No question? Okay. Is that to include it, Tim?
That's all we have, yes.
Okay. Let me open up this to the public. Staff, you got any questions? No. The public, is anybody here like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone have any questions? No shot.
Come a long way in 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Pleasant.
Okay.
Thank you.
This application is closed. Okay.
Must have been.
Okay, we're gonna move right into site plans. Ron, you can come on back now.
This is the big one.
Yep.
Okay, is there anyone here for K Brothers LLC on P18-37? Okay, want to step forward?
You better remind me that there's a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it like that.
Okay, folks, I appreciate you're here, I know you're here, and I see your sign, and there is no public input here, so you know that you can't speak. You can hold your signs there and state your presence, but we can see that, and we understand very clearly. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, sir.
Good evening, my name is Jim Rotundo. I'm a licensed professional engineer with Godfrey Hoffman Associates with offices. R-O-T-O-N-D-O. I'm with Godfrey Hoffman Associates with offices located at 26 Broadway here in North Haven. Here representing the applicant, K Brothers LLC. Also with me tonight is Mr. Nadeem Khalid, who is representing the owner and applicant, and also Mr. Scott Hesketh, who is our traffic engineer. Before we get started, one of Mr. Fredrickson's review comments, he asked for a landscape plan, which we had developed. I'd like to pass that out for everybody.
Sure, let's just step forward.
Thank you. We'll mark this Exhibit A.
The subject property is located at 224 Quinnipiac Avenue, located at the intersection with Monowese Avenue. It's approximately .87 acres in size, and it's located in the IL30 zone. The site is bounded by Monowese Avenue to the north, Quinnipiac Avenue to the east, a single-family residential use in the IL30 zone to the west, and multifamily residential in the elderly housing zone to the south. The applicant currently operates the DB Mart on the property. It's a building which is currently about 2,000 square feet in size. It's a food and convenience type store, also providing gasoline services. There are currently gas pumps. There's 2 gas islands with a canopy located on the easterly part of the site. Access into the facility, there's 1 driveway located off Monowese Avenue. There's 2 driveways off Quinnipiac Avenue. One almost right at the intersection, the second further down southerly into the site. The parking in the site right now is around the building and along the front property line, consisting of about 17 parking spaces. There's also an existing dumpster facility located at the westerly side of the paved area. The applicant is proposing modifications to the existing use on the property. This includes 2 additions to the building, one on the westerly side, one along the southerly side. The addition of those 2 buildings will increase the building footprint area from 2,000 square feet to approximately 2,730 square feet. The parking area will be modified. Parking will still be located around the building with several parallel spaces, providing a total of 14 parking spaces, which meets the requirement for the proposed use. This also includes closing of the curb cut, the closest curb cut to the intersection of Monowese and Quinnipiac. The fuel pump facilities will also be relocated more central to the entryway into the building. They're also proposing to increase that from 2 gas pump islands to 3 gas pump islands. A drive-through is also proposed around the rear of the building. This includes 2 order boards. That is so we could have 2 lanes there to provide the proper queuing of vehicles. From the pickup window and through our queuing, we can provide queuing for a minimum of 14 vehicles, which is what DOT had indicated they would be requiring. Landscaping, we're also providing some landscaping along the westerly and southerly portions of the development. That's going to include the planting of arborvitaes to provide some screening. There is currently a row of pines along the westerly property line. We're going to be removing about 12 pine trees in that location so we could extend the development. There are existing pine trees and a few deciduous trees along the southerly property line which will remain. There's an existing culvert that runs through the site right now. Conveys a water course that comes from the northeasterly side of Montouise and Quinnipiac Avenue, runs through the site and discharges into an open water course along the southerly property line. There are no wetlands on the site, but there is a regulated review area. We did go to wetlands, and they have approved the regulated activities as well as site plan referral. The existing storm drainage system consists of several catch basins on the site. Those currently collect runoff and discharge directly into that culvert. We're modifying that stormwater management system. We're providing catch basins to collect the water. That surface runoff will then run through stormwater treatment structures prior to discharging into that culvert. This way we're providing some stormwater treatment. There's also several dry wells proposed which will catch and infiltrate the 1-inch runoff from the increase in impervious areas. We've also prepared an erosion and sedimentation control plan.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
while you're on the topic of drainage, town engineer had a number of concerns listed in his item 1C. I'm assuming you've read it. Would you care to comment on some of his concerns?
Yes, we have. I think if there's two outstanding items. One is the excavation of test pits, just to confirm our assumptions that we made with our infiltration calculations. We haven't performed those yet because they have to be excavated right in the area of where the row of pines is. So we don't want to get in there and, until we know we have a project moving forward, potentially damaging those pines. We feel confident with our assumptions. Based on the USDA soil survey, the soils in this area are classified as a hydrologic soil group A, which is typical in many areas of North Haven, which has a really good infiltration capacity. I think the one thing that we have to look for is the depth of the depth of groundwater, so we make sure we're not using up any of our volume in our dry wells because of the groundwater elevation. But that's an item where we could put in a shallower type of system, so we see that's easily addressable. The second item has to do with the location of that existing culvert in proximity to the addition. Again, what we're proposing to do, and if we have to revise plans for the commission, is that we will dig test pits to actually locate that pipe. And if anything, this addition here may have to be reduced in size just to get further clearance away. But that is a workable solution that we see. I believe those were really the two outstanding drainage comments. Andy, did I miss something, or?
Yeah, I think that's the
So,
majority of the drainage.
Andy, it sounds like he's acknowledging both your concerns of
Yep.
the weight of the addition on the pipe,
Yep.
and if you have a need to work on the pipe, undermining the addition. So, and they're suggesting that they'd be willing to reduce the size of the addition. Is that something that would be acceptable to you after they?
Yeah, as long as it'll
Confirm.
still be possible to get in there and maintain. And there's lots of ways to do it. I mean, you could run sheeting along the outside of the foundation wall to protect that existing pipe. You could extend the foundation wall down to the bottom of that pipe, so that you could excavate alongside the foundation. There's a lot of ways to do it. I just wanted to have an idea of how that was going to get addressed. And then as far as the infiltration's concerned, the concerns I have are high groundwater and also potentially fill. I mean, I don't know history-wise, this facility's been there a long time. There could have been fill brought in when the original construction was done, and I'd just like to see what those soils actually turn out to be, so.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of got an issue, I mean, sort of putting the cart before the horse, but modifying the plan, presuming an approval, we'd have to really talk about that in terms of how to do that, so
Understood.
we can hold that, you know.
Yeah, okay, just,
I mean, to Mr. Frederickson's point there, I think if we did, are you talking about if we had to reduce or modify the addition? I think if it could be a condition, we'd come back to the commission if you'd prefer us to do that just for that modification. Until we do that test pit and have an actual location of the underground location of that pipe, it's hard to say what that condition's going to be.
Sure. Well, they can figure that out, but you want to finish your presentation, and we'll move forward?
The last thing I had to offer was that we have an erosion and sedimentation control plan that we prepared for the project, which will be developed prior to any construction. With that, I'd like to introduce Scott Hesketh, our traffic engineer.
Sure. You want to get into this before we get into traffic, you know? Yeah, you know.
I'm okay.
You know that? Okay, good enough.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Scott Hesketh. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut.
Spell your last name, please.
Hesketh. With the firm of F.A. Hesketh and Associates, and we have submitted a February 6, 2019 traffic statement and a reply to comments dated March 4th, 2019. We were asked to take a look at the trip generation potential of the proposed development here. We compared the trip generation of the existing site to the proposed site to determine what the increase in traffic volumes might be from the proposed modification here. The Institute of Transportation Engineers provides a trip generation report, which is a standard engineering reference used by engineers and land planners to project traffic volumes at proposed developments. The ITE has a land use of convenience markets with gasoline service, which is what is proposed here at this particular development. And the trip generation for that type of use are based on the traffic volumes of the adjacent roadway, the square footage of the building, and the number of pumps being proposed at the location. As you've heard testimony earlier, the existing building is 2,000 square feet with 4 vehicle fueling positions. There's currently 2 pumps with vehicles able to fuel on both sides, so that 4 vehicles at a time can fuel up here. And the proposed development would be 2,730 square feet with a total of 6 vehicle fueling positions. Now, the background traffic on the adjacent roadway does not change, so the traffic projections based on that independent variable would be the same. For the proposed development, we're projecting an increase of 34 trips during the morning peak hour based on the addition of the 2 new pumps. And in the afternoon peak hour, we're projecting a total of 46 new trips based on the expansion of the square footage of the development. We would note that during the morning peak hour, the traffic volume for the development would be based on the adjacent street traffic. So that's the highest trip generation potential based on the trip traffic. So technically, there might not be an increase in traffic during the morning peak hour if you believe the ITE numbers completely. But we'll give you the 34 trips because that's the most conservative number. So the projections we're looking at are an increase of 34 trips during the morning peak hour, 40 trips during the afternoon peak hour, less than 1 new trip per minute. And that's basically a volume inside the site driveway. This is a convenience store. Upwards to 70 to 90% of the traffic to a convenience store is traffic already passing by on the roadway. So those projections of 34 or 40 new trips really can be reduced to 4 to 5 trips, new trips to the roadway network. Hardly an increase of traffic, especially based on the traffic volumes out on the adjacent roadways. We did not do levels of service calculations. We just looked at the traffic volume projections for the development. Town staff had some comments regarding queuing of the site. In response to that, we ran some a standard queuing analysis based on a Poisson distribution. assuming a total entering volume of 86 vehicles during the peak hour. That's 86 entering and 86 exiting vehicles, but based on 86 entering vehicles, 35% using a drive-through window, which at a convenience store with a drive-through window, that's the type of volumes we have seen at other locations, and an average service rate of 45 seconds per vehicle, meaning that vehicles coming in, one vehicle leaving the window on average every 45 seconds, which is the standard service time. We would project an expected queue of less than one vehicle. And the probability that a queue would exceed 9 vehicles would be virtually 0%. At a service rate of 60 seconds per vehicle, in case, because they're having convenience items and the like also being serviced at the window, we're expecting a queue length of 1 vehicle. And again, the probability of a queue exceeding 9 vehicles would be virtually 0. So we believe that the proposed drive-through window queuing and stacking distance is more than adequate to accommodate the peak hour volumes of traffic at the drive-through window. Short and sweet. If there's any specific questions related to the traffic data, I'd be happy to address them at the appropriate time.
Let's talk about it a little bit, sure.
Okay.
No, we're talking about an hour later.
I guess we'll talk about it all later.
When you're ready. A little later, that's fine. Have some
Okay.
questions.
Yeah, me too.
You want to, is that finished?
Did you want to address the commission? Okay. That concludes our presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions by the commission.
Okay, then if you want to just take notes there, we'll be going through this.
My name is Nadeem Khalid, we are the property owner. I just want to request, there's a few things inside the building, like is non-conforming ADA bathrooms and bunch of things are there. We really want to address, like we have a whole scope of plans, which we really looking to have a blessing from you if you can have this thing approved. So we can really address all the issues. And the reason we are admitting and requesting this time because the tanks are due, we are placing underground tanks and everything is like tied into together. So we'll really appreciate if you can consider this approval. So we are really looking forward.
Sir, please spell your name.
Nadeem, N-A-D as in David, E-E, M as in Mary. And last name K-H-A-L-I-D as in David.
L-I-D?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, do you think the drive-through that you have there, the proposed drive-through that you're going to have, is going to increase your business that much to supplement?
It's basically, Mr. Chairman, is a service. It's anybody who can walk inside the store and they can come to the window for just like any product, any for grocery. That's the whole idea behind. So this is the time if we can do it, we can we can do the complete site work. So that's the whole idea behind, so we can do it, provide the service for the community.
Okay.
Let me ask that and follow up to that question, because I'm confused about this drive-through. Are you telling me that the drive-through that you're proposing, somebody would pull up and say, I'd like a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, a dozen eggs, and 4 Gatorades, and somebody'd go get it?
I mean, we can provide some ADA people. I mean, those things are still available. If they can, sometimes people call ahead of time. Right now, we have a few customer comes, they place the order, and literally our cashier can go and deliver them in a car.
Okay, so you gotta help me here, because I'm not understanding. I understand coffee and donuts, I get that.
That's correct. Or some sandwiches, we have our own, we make our own sandwiches.
But what, and it's gonna come back to the traffic engineer, because you made some presumptions based on this, that it's not gonna increase because of coffee and donuts, it's for other groceries as well, and I can't imagine how people are gonna get groceries through your drive-through.
If somebody is somebody is not a walk-in, some ADA person, we can provide them service.
So what would they do? They would call ahead and say, I'm gonna come and pick up a gallon of milk?
Some people they're still doing, yes, sir.
Okay. I just don't, I've never seen that anywhere.
Well, I mean,
That pharmacies, you pick up a prescription, but I don't, you know, what the traffic engineer is talking about is saying it's, it's for general convenience items. I don't know how that works. I just don't get it.
Is the idea, go ahead, Jim, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I mean, is the idea of the drive-through to accommodate the people that you're having coming inside, so they're gonna be able to drive through and pass it through the window to the car? so they
Coffee
don't have to
sandwich
get out of
and they
the
have
car?
to come in, that's right.
So is this a whole new aspect of a drive-through? I mean,
mean,
I've
it's-
never seen it anywhere, but I'm just
I mean, if
asking.
somebody requested, we cannot refuse it, Mr. Chairman, so.
Okay. But I mean, is this the idea of it?
Right, we have a backup in the mind, we can do it, somebody cannot walk inside the store, so we can provide that
Okay,
service.
but there could be just a question, you don't have to not be able to walk. Anybody can pull up and say, I want 7 items, and that car will stay there, I'm assuming, until those 7 items are brought, put in a bag, and paid for.
We can, under that circumstances, we can request them to come in up front so the cashier can provide that service to eliminate the congestion.
But let me tell you why I have this issue, and this goes to the traffic engineer. In your report, it says, although it's possible for a customer to purchase a coffee and/or donut or a sandwich from the drive-thru, it's intended that the drive-thru will also be used by customers to purchase other grocery items. We therefore, because it's other grocery items, have not projected an increase in traffic. And I don't understand it, because I can't believe anybody's going to use this thing other than to get coffee and donuts.
We have projected an increase in traffic. We have not projected an increase in traffic specifically because of the drive-through window, okay? There will be an increase in traffic on the site because the site's getting larger, there's more pumps, there's going to be more people coming onto the site, and it may be a convenience for some people to make use of this particular thing. Now,
I'm just going to tell you, I have a problem with that conclusion, because it also lets you get other things that I can't imagine anybody doing. You say there'll be no increase in traffic as a result of the window itself. So you're saying is the people that would have come in and got coffee if there was no window will now use the window, but no additional people will come in and get coffee.
No, I think what I meant in that statement is that this is not a co-branded type of use. It's not a Subway, it's not a Dunkin' Donuts, it's not a Burger King, it's not a Subway sandwich restaurant. So as you're driving by on the roadway, you don't see the words Dunkin' Donuts or Subway and say, aha, I'm going to be new to this site. This is a drive-through window which will serve the people that have been coming to this site for an awful long time.
I would be very surprised if we wouldn't see a sign that says coffee, drive-through and coffee. I would be very surprised, but.
They serve coffee now, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, they serve coffee, they serve sandwiches and the like, and the people that come frequently will make use of the service. And the chairman did speak about, someone on the commission said something about pharmacies and the like. I mean, pharmacies have drive-through windows for
do.
convenience of customers. Right. Typically, you go to the doctor, they phone it in, you drive through, and you're not feeling very well, that's why you were at the doctor in the first place.
Right.
Rather than get out of the car, get your 2 kids
And I've
out of
done
the
that
car,
too.
walk everybody in, it's
But let me
it's
tell you
convenient.
this,
So-
there's a whole lot less people in that drive-through at the pharmacy than there is at Dunkin' Donuts.
True, and we're not proposing Dunkin' Donuts, and that's,
Well, okay.
that's I
So,
think, the
let
point
me
of that
just-
We
statement.
understand that.
Yeah, we get that.
Let me just point at one other thing, and I want you to comment about it. It says, vehicle queues from the intersection will, on occasion, extend to and past the site driveways, resulting in the need for left turn movements to wait for the queue to clear before exiting. That thing blocks up now, right?
Yes, it does.
We all know that. Everybody who goes there, it blocks up. So, but you're saying this isn't gonna make that block up worse, or that's not gonna be a bigger problem? There's not gonna be more cars coming out of there because of this drive-through?
There's going to be more cars entering and leaving the site, yes,
Right, okay.
that's true.
Okay.
We're not changing the traffic volumes on the roadways, but we are having more traffic into and out of the site because of the expansion of this development, yes.
Am I correct assuming on your traffic, I read the traffic report, and I'm really not, are you satisfied with the report, Andy?
No.
No, I'm not either. With the traffic.
What does that mean?
Well, wait a second.
You're gonna
Yeah.
tell us what it means?
No, I just want to get this out. if I
Andy, did
can.
you say no to that? I said no. I still need your answer a little louder.
No.
I just wanna know what he means by he's not satisfied. But you can, whatever,
Yeah, just let me finish this up.
that's fine. Go
Okay.
ahead. I'll let you
Well,
finish.
What it seems to me is that you're taking all the traffic that's on the site now, and you're bringing it in off of Monowese Avenue. And you're gonna funnel it through the drive-through, and then you're gonna funnel all of it out onto Quinnipiac Avenue. I mean, that's the traffic flow that you have there now, with the exception of the ones that go to the pump. And you're still gonna be exiting on Quinnipiac Avenue. Are you not?
I think people that approach the site from Montoise Avenue and come in, they have an option to go out onto Quinnipiac or to circle back through the site and exit out onto Montoise if they so wish.
Is the site conducive to maneuver down through there to get back out on Monowese Avenue?
I believe there's plenty of room on site. There's plenty of pavement widths for those movements to occur.
I just must say, it didn't look like it to me. I've been down there several times to see just what it looks like there, and it looked like it would be quite confusing to do that. But I assumed that you'd bring the traffic in off of Monowese Avenue, which would mean anybody traveling west going down toward 91 to get in there would have to cross the traffic going east on Monowese Avenue, 2 lanes of traffic there to get into the site, and then get through the drive-through, and then it would get out on the other side, get onto Quinnipiac Avenue, and cross 2 lanes to go north on Quinnipiac Avenue. Am I correct in that?
Well, again, it's the same roadway conditions today and the same driveway locations today, with the exception of we're closing off one of these particular driveways here. Now, we are projecting an increase in traffic, approximately 1 vehicle, or less than 1 vehicle a minute over the peak hours, and that's entering and exiting, so half of those are exiting, so it's 1 vehicle every 3 minutes exiting the site on average at an increase. So they're crossing the same volumes of traffic currently, so.
Can I just cut in with a question just along that line? Sure. Just in terms of what you were talking about, Vern, about the approach and the exit, all that, and the direction that the vehicles will come from. I agree with you that, it appears that the curb cuts would stay the same throat dimension, more or less, or at least be something that's compliant with DOT. But it's just I have a question about the new configuration. It's kind of a wide open parking lot as it exists right now. And you've got the 2 exits on Quinnipiac Avenue. But you're starting to set up something that's somewhat directional at this point. If you're coming from the south on Quinnipiac, or even the north, you're not going to tend to go in and take the left in the Quinnipiac Avenue entrance. You're going to tend to go to the light and take the left on the Monowese and cut in. If you want the drive-through, you're not going to negotiate the parking lot, which has a pretty narrow throat dimension. You're going to be going through the gas pumps or going through the gap between the westernmost gas pump and the curb to get over to either the parking or the drive-through. So you're kind of setting up sort of a directional situation there where the site is flowing, in a counterclockwise manner. So it said in your report you didn't look at turning movement counts, capacity analyses, but just looking at that, I see it as kind of wide open at this point, and removing that particular curb cut on Quinnipiac and reconfiguring the pumps, I think is going to change the way the site operates at that point. And that's more what I'm concerned about than necessarily the queuing. Just to get back to that, if you're looking at bringing products to a drive-through window, I hadn't heard about a 45-second turnaround or a 1-minute turnaround, like worst-case scenario. No disrespect intended to any work at a drive-through, but I don't think I've ever broken the 1-minute drive-through experience. It seems like it's a lot more than that. I don't necessarily have an argument with your queuing, but I don't see how that washes.
Well, not only that, Alan, but when you getting right back to the traffic flow going out onto Quinnipiac Avenue, because that's the way I see it, unless I see it wrong, it seems as though there's going to be an awful lot of traffic emptying out almost in the life box on Quinnipiac Avenue. Of course, if you close that first curb cut off, then you'll be out of the box, but the second one is closed. and you'll be crossing the stacked up cars on Quinnipiac Avenue at the light to get across to go north on Quinnipiac Avenue. Is that correct or not? Or did I lose you, huh?
Well, Frank, the driveways are where the driveways are, and the traffic volumes on Quinnipiac and Montouise Avenue are not going to change whether this project is approved. So the queuing that exists on those two roadways currently exists and will block the traffic as much in the future as they do or do not do today, which is why we didn't concern ourselves with that type of analysis. Now, we are increasing the traffic slightly at this location because of the increase of the square footage, the increase of the bumps of the drive-through window, yes. Now, in terms of the circulation through the site, if I was coming up Quinnipiac Avenue, I don't think I'd go to the light, wait 1 or 2 cycles for the light to change, make a left-hand turn, try to make a left-hand turn through 3 lanes of traffic, when I could easily make a left-hand turn here through 1 lane of traffic, circulate through the site and do what I had to do.
Okay.
That would be my, now,
Sure.
I don't live in town, so maybe we do things differently in
I don't think so,
I
but
think
you
that-
just seem that
We're
way.
not there.
But, I mean, what,
Well,
I was going somewhere for a
let me
second.
follow up with that, if you don't mind, when you're right on that.
yeah,
If in fact you're gonna have groceries come out to the drive-through, going through the drive-through, and if you had a lot of cars queued up at the drive-through, you would push the cars through and have them stack them up somewhere, and then you would bring the groceries to them, I presume. That's what they do on the drive-throughs that you have at Dunkin' Donuts, for say, or McDonald's. They bring it out to you if there are too many cars there, you park on the side.
but in terms of operations, how it's gonna work, I'll
okay.
rely on the,
All I just
I'll rely
want-
on the applicant to discuss that. But this is a convenience store, and if getting a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread and a 2-gallon thing of Tide is not very convenient, then I expect that that's the type of use which is not gonna happen. It's gonna be self-limiting in that respect. It's a drive-through window, they're gonna have coffee, not Dunkin' Donuts, not Starbucks, not whatever, but they're gonna have coffee. They'll have pastries, donuts, pastries, they'll have pre-wrapped sandwiches. If somebody comes up and goes, can I have like a cup of coffee, a pack of cigarettes, and a candy bar, they can take care of that. Is someone gonna do their weekly shopping? I highly doubt it. Unless, as he said, they've got customers who are ADA, cannot get out of their car, they're familiar with the place, they make a phone call down, can you get me these 3 items, I'll be down in 5 minutes, I'm coming to the drive-through window, they'll be happy to take care of them. That's the type of thing I think that they're envisioning. Now, in terms of the service at the drive-through window, I agree, if you pull up to a Dunkin' Donuts and you're the 10th car in line, you're not gonna get out of there in 30 seconds. No one's claiming you are. But from the time you order to the time you leave the window at a Dunkin' Donuts, it's usually between a minute and a half to 2 minutes. That's why the drive-through window and the order board are spaced a certain distance apart. They can work on 5 orders at a time from the time you place your order to the time you leave. So that when you leave the window, you leave on average every 30 seconds a vehicle leaves the window. We've got counts at several Dunkin' Donuts facilities where the times are as low as 26 seconds on average during peak hours. Now, at 10 o'clock at night, it might be a minute and a half because the coffee's not ready, they've got to look for something, they're not really in a rush, it takes a little bit longer. But during those peak times, they do operate at 30 to second intervals. And we've got count data here that I could share with the commission if so desired. So we're trying to give you a reasonableness. And the reason we're talking about the queuing analysis is the Department of Transportation requires 14 stacking distances for a drive-through window, which is why they proposed 2 order boards here, so they can get double stacking distance at the back, satisfy the Department of Transportation. Based on the numbers of traffic coming into and out of the site, based on the distribution percentages of usage at other facilities which we've observed, I don't see there being very long queues at this particular location based on the service times which I've given you. Now, if the service times grow, There could be issues, but
It cuts
I don't
both
see it
ways
happening.
in any event, because if there's a delay at the window, then there's also a delay getting out into the road, and the road is one of the places that we're actually probably more concerned with.
That's the problem.
To get to the upshot of where you are, is essentially you're telling me, yeah, there may be problems at that intersection, but you're not gonna make them worse, which is the same we hear from traffic guys all the time. That's essentially where you are, right? We're gonna add, but we're not adding a lot. And, you know,
We're adding very
I'm not
few
sure
cars
if I.
to the roadway network. There'll be more cars in and out of the driveway.
Right.
But we're not adding any cars to the roadway network itself.
I'm just not sure about your premise that there's not going to be an increase because you're serving coffee and donuts at the thing. I understand that's your position, I'm not sure I agree with that position. But along those lines, you do know, and I'll maybe refer this back to Mr. Rotondo, the police chief was less than enthusiastic about the proposal. He gave you some comments about how he felt. Are you going to address those comments? Because we've been very reliant on our safety experts, the police and the fire chief. And he was pretty explicit in saying that he's got concerns.
I believe in addition to talking about the traffic congestion in the intersection, he made a comment about noise and potentially complaints from the neighboring Eaton Place. As I had indicated, we're doing some landscaping along the back. We have a retaining wall here. We're proposing arborvitaes here. These are green giant arborvitaes, which mature height will grow to 40 to 50 feet. So those will provide a visual and noise screen in that location. What I have here, this is an aerial photograph with the site development superimposed on it. The in-between where the drive-through and the end of the Eaton Place building ranges anywhere from 160 to 180 feet distance, with a parking area right adjacent to it. And Quinnipiac Avenue along the frontage is about 80 feet from the building. So given the amount of traffic that's anticipated through the drive-through, the buffering that we're providing here, plus the additional buffering, stockade fence, and the distance, it's our opinion that noise should not be any worse than from what you're seeing today with the traffic on Quinnipiac Avenue.
The bigger, and I appreciate what you're saying, but the bigger one that concerns me is when our police chief says the drive-through will only increase stop-and-go vehicular traffic that is entering it and exiting the site and potentially interfere with the existing configuration of the intersection and traffic signal cues to a point that traffic safety will be compromised. That's our police chief is saying that if we put in this window, traffic safety could be compromised. And my question to you is that I know you've tried to address this in your traffic study, but we've got a chief telling us, in his opinion, to be compromised. Anybody reach out to the chief and try to convince him that he's incorrect?
No, we have not.
Okay. It just puts us in a very difficult spot because our safety guy is saying traffic safety, in his opinion, is going to be compromised. So I'm just letting you know that. My opinion, it's a problem.
Okay, so I'm going to jump into another area. Hours. Right now, you're 24 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that going to continue?
It's going to be continued, but if you want, we can minimize that drive-through hours. If council want or the chairman, you guys have it, we can reduce the hours.
But right now, the proposal is 24 hours.
The store is right now and the business is 24 hours. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
because I mean, we were talking about noise 160 to 180 feet from the closest housing there. You know, the window is going to produce noise. If you're ever near any of those drive-throughs, you hear noise.
We can do it till like a midnight or 11:30 midnight. We can close.
Right, but a lot of, I don't want to say this, older people might go to bed earlier than midnight.
I
and
understand.
sometimes they don't wake
Right.
up early in the morning. I'm
That's
going to
right.
assume
That's
this
why-
is going to be.
That's correct, ma'am. Is if you look at like at the, just Jim mentioned, like this distance is much closer as compared to this distance. So So plus we are installing some, we are putting some new plants which can reduce some of the noise level.
Right.
Plus we can do it like at timings, it's absolutely we are pretty open.
But if you're gonna do coffee, you wanna open early in the morning.
Usually we have 24 hours, somebody want a cup of coffee, so if we can do it like a 5 o'clock, we can open to 5 to 12.
Okay, all right, that's one
I mean,
thing.
just don't forget, with all respect, this road is open, these roads are open 24/7.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I know.
So, I mean,
But I'm
we are-
asking
We are such a
specifically-
more civilized nation, I doubt if people come in and they beep horn or anything. So with all respect, this is like a timely fashion, we can do it from 5 to,
I have been at that intersection, not everybody is civilized, and that's without the drive-through, okay? So I'm asking about the drive-through hours, so you're telling me, you may go to, right now 24, you may go to midnight, and you're gonna start around 5 or 6. So that was one of my questions. And the other one, one handicap space, and I know that's all that's required. But I'm questioning if you have people coming in and you're saying, well, if they call ahead or they can pull up, there's absolutely no parking for somebody pulling up and waiting for their order. So you have nothing devised for parking besides what's minimum. You have a minimum one handicap space. So,
That's what I'm
if you
oh, I'm
require-
sorry,
No,
Vern,
no,
I
go ahead.
defer.
No, pick it right up, go.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
that's.
there is nothing, once you block this up.
Right.
You can't get in there, no.
Right, so if you're saying you're gonna have a drive-through and someone's gonna pick something up and then they don't have it ready, so you're gonna push them through, where is it that you exactly expect them to go on that site? To pull over and pick up something?
Well, we didn't designate any area in particular for that. However, just past the pickup window, there is a spot probably about 20 feet in length where a car could pull up, and then the employee could come out.
And the employee is gonna come out from the front door and around the traffic and around those spaces?
No, there's a parking, or there's a sidewalk along the
Sidewalk
side of the
here.
building here, so they could come down and meet them right at that location.
Well, not really at that location, they're gonna end up crossing over. Crossing through the queue traffic and behind the spaces, but okay, all right, but we only also have one handicap space. I know that's what you required, but that
We
does
can-
not,
If you want, chairman want, commission want, we can add another parking, so that's no problem. I think that's
Well,
what, as per.
well, you
the
can't
policy.
add a parking space, you can designate to handicap, but you cannot make another parking space, so. Okay, I'm done right now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to that, Jim. I'd like Andy, we just ask him about the traffic report. Okay, you wanna get it? Go ahead. I don't wanna block you out, go.
I had some questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Just for point of clarification, am I correct in understanding that each of the 2 lanes is designed to hold 7 vehicles for a total of 14? Is that correct?
No, your stacking lane begins at the pickup window. So we have 1 lane of stacking up to the order boards, then we have 2 lanes of stacking up to the order boards. So all that length together.
Say that again?
I'm confused
The
too.
pickup window is located on the easterly corner of the building.
Yeah, I see it.
And that's where the stacking, the queue starts. That's where it's measured from.
Right, well, there's 2 lanes all the way back.
That's correct. This second lane is a bypass lane. The closest lane to the building is the pickup lane. This is a bypass lane. Should a car have to jump out and get around, it can do that.
Jim, I thought that DOT measured from the order window. You didn't end up getting anything from DOT, correct, in
We
writing?
haven't, we
didn't
had
say
a
anything
preliminary meeting with them. Our initial application, we were relocating the drainage culvert. So we had an initial meeting with them just to introduce them to the project and see what their requirements were going to be. We talked about the drainage, what they would require there, and we talked about the pickup window and drive-through, and they indicated that they would want 14 vehicles as a stacking length. So we didn't get any written comments because we haven't made any official submission to them for review. So our project is designed, we're no longer relocating that culvert, so the drainage issues went away. But when we go back to them for their review, we'd have to satisfy them that there's enough stacking here for 14 vehicles.
Okay, and if you had 14 vehicles stacked, how far back would that go?
They would be, we measured it so the driveway would not be blocked. So we measured it just past the radius in this area here. It does not cross over past the driveway into the site from Mount Louise.
Okay, so if you had more than 14, it would start to block traffic.
Correct.
Okay. Could your traffic engineer made a comment that you're expecting one car in the queue.
You need to speak up a little.
I'm sorry. The comment was made that the expectation there'd be one car in the queue and a maximum of 9. Why is that anticipated to be so low compared to other similar drive-throughs? I've many times driven by other drive-throughs and seen a dozen or more cars frequently backed out onto the road. Why are you expecting so few in comparison?
I'd ask Scott to just comment on his numbers there,
Sure.
where they came from.
We're expecting a total of 86 customers during a peak hour to the site. 86 customers an hour to the site. If 35% of them use the drive-through lane, which is typical at a convenience store with gasoline service and a drive-through window, we expect that there'll be, during the peak hour, 30 customers will utilize the drive-through window, based on the volumes.
I understand that
anticipated this
math, but
location.
it doesn't change my question.
Well, that's the
It's-
reason,
it's-
it's the answer to your question.
Well, then what's the answer to why other drive-through facilities have so many more cars?
Other drive-through facilities are branded facilities which have a higher trip generation rate than we're projecting for this particular use. If
What
you're a
if-
Dunkin' Donuts facility,
It's what you're
people come
projecting.
from,
It's what you're projecting, but couldn't that number go up if you provide a superior service?
if we
I mean,
are using
wouldn't
that
you
type of
want it
use.
to go up?
It would be, if it was that type of use, that's what we would project, yes, a higher number like that, yes. We're not proposing that type of use here.
Okay, and let me ask, I don't know if this is a question for the applicant or for you, Alan, but let's say hypothetically, this use was approved. Is there anything stopping them from tomorrow selling to Dunkin' Donuts, and they'd be able to, because it wouldn't be a change of use, they'd be able to do the same thing as of right? Is that correct?
Well, you're definitely speaking to my comment number 5. While it's stated on page 3, there'll be no co-branded user, Dunkin' Donuts, Subway, et cetera, that are intended to be added. Any approval granted should be specifically conditioned with this as a requirement. No, ordinarily, your regs kick in a site plan approval with a change of use or a building expansion, a building area expansion. So a change of use from retail to retail with coffee, no, it wouldn't catch it unless you specifically somehow conditioned it on that.
Okay.
We've actually had the problem before, and that's why I put the comment in there.
Yeah. Thank you, you've answered my question. No further questions at this time.
Okay.
Just so you know, that's why I was asking when he made the premise, because they're selling other things, that it won't be enough. I don't, as many people, many cars. I don't understand that premise, because they're gonna do the same thing as Dunkin' Donuts, only they're not gonna be branded Dunkin' Donuts. And they made that presumption that that won't increase it to a Dunkin' Donuts. I don't see that. So anyway, just following up on what Ron was asking, that's why I asked that question before.
Rich, you got any questions?
No, Ron has covered everything.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
But you asked him if he thought the traffic study was sufficient, and he said no. I would still like to hear the answer to why that was no.
Want to tell us about it?
Sure, no, absolutely. I mean, I think it's pretty well articulated in my comments here. I just had some questions, some things that just didn't seem to make sense. One of which is the fact that you're adding drive-through lanes to provide greater convenience for your customers. And I don't understand how providing additional convenience to your customers doesn't increase traffic to your store. and doesn't increase traffic volume. I understand you're increasing because of the size of the store, I understand you're increasing because you're adding pumps and all, but that drive-through has got to provide for additional traffic trips into the site. And I just didn't understand the fact that that was not, that was specifically excluded from the traffic study. That was the first thing. My first comment, 2A, was the queuing. I didn't get my little paper cars out, but I would like to have seen a figure that showed what is that queuing going to look like, up to that limit that DOT is providing, you know? So how are the cars going to stack? Where exactly do they fall? I'd like to be able to count the cars, go right through there, so I can see exactly what that looks like. And I think the commission would appreciate having that as well. Let's see. And then lastly, you know, this development's going to cause an increase in traffic. I mean, we're saying that. We know that the situation traffic-wise is difficult out here to begin with, just because of the queuing at the lights and being able to get in and out. Now we're adding additional traffic. Now, it may not be a huge change, but we're going to be making the situation worse. If you add additional traffic, you make the situation worse. Is there things that can be done? And this may be something in your discussions that you have with the DOT. Can you change some of the light cycles to make that work better so that the queues don't interfere with traffic as much? You know, we have an opportunity here. We have a difficult situation to begin with. Why not look for ways that we can make that situation better instead of just approving something that increases traffic on the site and has the potential to make the situation worse?
When I look at page 3 of your report, Scott, I just look at that last paragraph, that first sentence, you know, turning movement counts and capacity analyses not been completed. My concern is that how it relates. I'm troubled by the circulation on the site, but I'm concerned with how it would relate to that intersection. And I am a local, and I go through there. It is an incremental increase as you're proposing it, but I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the utility of that intersection and how that'll relate to those two curb cuts. If it does tend to push people, you know, as you had indicated, you know, if you're coming from northbound on Quinnipiac Avenue, are you going to duck in that first entrance, or are you going to take two lefts? You know, the problem is just to take a look at how the new traffic flow in the site what it does to it, what it does to the property and what it does to the intersection. But I'm also just concerned, everything that we heard about DOT and the way they look at the drive-throughs is that it's measured from the order board, and that might make a substantial difference too. I don't know. We haven't heard from them. Often if we don't, you would go and get your DOT approval afterwards. But when we have a conceptual issue, it seems to me maybe we should get some sort of input from them.
Alan, are you saying that your interpretation or your understanding of the DOT requirement for 14 doesn't start at the window, but starts at the order board?
I am saying that is my understanding of it. Jim Rotundo is a highly qualified civil engineer. I'm just an architect. But that's what we've had in the past. That's what's been stated. I would be interested to hear something back, from DOT on it.
Well, it's not unusual that you won't hear back from DOT. They generally don't opine until the town has taken their actions. In the 100 or so of these that I've done over the last 10 years or so, we have always measured the queuing from the window back, and we've never received any comments from DOT indicating that we've done it incorrectly. And they do look for a queuing of 14 vehicles on their sites. Perhaps my sentence on page 3 is written inarticulately, but we did project an increase in traffic on this particular site. We did not cite the drive-through window as a driver of that increase, but we are projecting an increase in traffic. And the reason is because the trip generation for this site is probably based on the background traffic volumes of the roadway, which is the highest trip generation. We looked at the increase in the number of pumps and said we're going to get about 40 increase in vehicles because of that. But based on the background traffic volumes, we should already be above that number anyway. So we projected an increase in traffic based on that pump number, and I think that covers it. It covers the fact that we have a drive-through window, in my opinion at least, which is why the comment was written. Again, perhaps it wasn't, I'm not an English major, I'm an engineer. Sometimes I don't write exactly what we intend. I will say in terms of queuing at these types of facilities, we have done many counts at different facilities, Dunkin' Donuts drive-through windows at convenience stores. Some counts we've done at a couple here in Vernon, Connecticut, and in Mansfield up by the University of Connecticut, in Vernon on Tocqueville Road and Storrs Road in Mansfield. Yep. We did counts on a number of occasions. We observed the queues at those locations. The Vernon facility had served a total of 88 customers on one morning and 91 customers on another morning. And a queue of 10 vehicles was observed exactly twice during the morning peaks. On one occasion, and 0 times on a second occasion, the longest queue was 9 vehicles, which was observed 9 times. And that was with a total of 88 and 91 customers. The Mansfield facility had 60 customers and 77 customers. The longest queues observed at either of those locations was 7. So I think we have a lot of data which indicates that queuing should not be an issue on this particular site based on the use that we have here. Yes, we're proposing not a branded use, which is why we're presenting to you the numbers that we have. That's the project that I was presented. That's the project I'm presenting to you.
Let me just say, there's something that I see as a little bit unique about this area, and that is that section of town doesn't have a drive-through coffee place. And they've tried several times. There was one proposed on Montawees, there was one proposed a little further up. And I think a drive-through coffee is going to be extremely well received if it happens, which is going to cause the problems that we're worried about happening. That's frankly what I see.
I have one more question. So, I heard the numbers you just said when you did Dunkin' Donuts, and I heard these numbers here. If this were a branded use, whether it were Dunkin' Donuts or Subway, what do you see for numbers then? So, all right, so you're saying there'd be increases over what we're proposing now, or what you're proposing now? Significant?
I need you by the next.
Yeah, you can't nod, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it would be higher numbers, yes.
Okay,
All right.
all right, I just wanted to clarify that.
Just have a question for you, Scott. Sorry, and for you, Andy. I see the numbers are DOT numbers on the traffic counts. Do you think there's any limitation to the fact that those numbers are from 2012? I guess the way I feel about traffic is we're not the ones handing out the driver's licenses, and we're not making cars, but nonetheless, what you have on the road is what you have on the road. Do you think there's an appreciable difference? Is this a situation where we might have more accurate numbers if we did some actuals that were on both of those state roads?
And is DOT likely to ask you to do that? That's another question.
Having new counts would be helpful. Lately, traffic volumes in the state of Connecticut might be going up perhaps 1% a year at best. I've seen declines in many, many areas due to declines in population and the fact that the economy was not very good for quite some time, and the fact that many people, instead of driving to work, are now staying at home and working from home computers. So we've seen somewhat of a leveling off of traffic, but a 1% increase could be expected. The DOT typically does counts on a 3-year cycle. Their computer systems were down and they haven't been updating them over the last couple of months. They just came back online, and there may be some new numbers for that section of roadway, but we presented to you the numbers that we had at the time that we had written the report.
Mr. Chairman, I think we've heard a number of concerns tonight. Can we request that this be tabled to the next meeting during that time? Maybe schedule a meeting with the police chief, with staff, and see if we could get back to DOT to get some kind of written comments from them that we could present to the commission?
You want to table, or you want to continue?
Continue it, please.
I think we can, yeah. If you're asking, are you asking for?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are requesting that this be continued to the next
Okay,
meeting.
next commission?
It's fine.
Okay, Teresa?
Fine?
Ron?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Alan?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, this application will be continued, which means it will come back next month or the following month. You'll have to speak with Dallin to find out when it's going to be heard. Okay, move along here and get these out of the way. Can I get the,
Yeah, I'll give them a minute.
Yeah,
All right,
okay.
I'll be right back.
Hey, folks, want to move right out of here. If you're going to speak, please, so we have more business to take care of. If you want to talk, please go outside.
Let me tell you something. They put a coffee thing in there. I can't believe Joe they go down, when they move, they go down at the gas station up there. We approved Oh, no, of course. But that's what I'm saying, it's nothing but cigarettes. Whatever.
You know what?
You gotta give it a shot.
You usually see that stuff at the herd.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, that's what, I'm gonna talk to the police chief, see. I'll tell him first. He knows.
You know, you're right. Let's go. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, folks, where are we here? We are at P 18-44. This is 332 State Street. Mr. Bernie Pellegrino?
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Bernard Pellegrino. I'm an attorney with the Pellegrino Law Firm in New Haven. My address is 10 Marlborough Road. I represent the applicant. We were here in January, I think, or February, opened the application, received comments from staff, and we made changes to the map to address those comments, which were reviewed prior to the March hearing. I received those comments, but then that meeting was canceled, as you recall.
Wait, just let me hold you for a second. Was I here when this opened? I missed one, and I just don't want to sit if I wasn't here. And I think...
In January, was it January?
I think it was January,
I think it was
right? Isn't that when I
January.
was in the hospital?
I don't have the minutes from that meeting.
It was February.
I just don't want to sit if I I don't remember this open.
I have it on January 7th.
I was here? Never mind. It's just I just can't remember anything, apparently.
Maybe you still shouldn't.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe he needs to go back.
I was probably sick when I was here.
There was some work that had been done in the rear of the site where we're looking to essentially restore the areas that work should not have occurred, mostly site work and some storage of materials up there. The plan looks to take out the gravel, replant lawn, put trees along the property buffer lines. The expectation is we would hopefully be back sometime in the next few months with plans to do some expansion. The business is in need of more area, so we wanted to at least clear up the issues with some of the work that was not permitted, get the site restored, and then we would come back. In that vein, we now show the sidewalks, but we're requesting a waiver. I understand your positions on sidewalks. There's no connectivity there now. I think for the purpose of this application, which is not really proposing any new or additional work, we'd request the waiver. We may be singing a different tune, and so may you, when we come back with a plan to expand the building to accommodate the owner's needs. His business is growing. They're relatively new business in town, Nero Heating and Air Conditioning. They've been there, I think, just starting their 4th anniversary, so in any event, that's some of the background. I think we've hit on most of the issues that, well, just to finish the story, we submitted revised plans in March. They were reviewed prior to the meeting that was canceled. I'll say most of the issues that we talked about in January had been addressed in the revised plans. There were a few more items that were not addressed, and we submitted some revised plans, which you may be looking at last week, which I think picked up most of the other issues. I think the only ones that I saw that were not on the plan, but I think are hopefully relatively minor that we could deal with as conditions of the approval, were the fixtures, lighting fixtures. There's 4 building-mounted fixtures. We're not proposing any changes to those. There aren't timers. They shut off, you know. I don't think they're shown on the plans. I think the only other thing I saw was maybe the parking calcs. I don't know if they did put those on there. There's plenty of parking, so we can provide those as a condition, but I don't think parking is a real issue.
We did receive these revised plan that you're looking at Friday afternoon, so the comment, I believe it's Friday afternoon.
Thursday, I think.
Was it? Yeah, it probably was. The
package.
comments were said, so we did not review these. As I look at the plans, I see a little more detail on the trees. I don't see particular size or planting height on those trees. I don't see a parking calc, but, you know, anyway, there are a few items that would remain that.
Yeah, I think we could deal with those. What other
Yep.
questions you have? I think there's
Yep.
sufficient parking. We're well over the required number for this use. It's a heating and air conditioning company. It's commercial business.
While we're on this, the plans have been revised, I guess, to exclude the request for outdoor storage. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So there's no outdoor storage that's proposed. So the things that are there would be removed?
Yes.
Would be removed when? See if there's, this is kind of one of the things that bothers me. If there's no outdoor storage, but there's stuff there, so we're going to approve it and let it just continue to be there?
Well, a number of it has already been removed, so the outdoor storage that was there when we started has been reduced. There is some material that's still there. I spoke to my clients, and they're in the process of finding a home for that, so I think in the new application, that would include addition to the building, and additional parking. There may be a need to have a screened area for outdoor storage
So
for some of their stuff, so we would come back I
Are
think
you telling me there will be a new application?
there will be a new application. We wanted to deal with, as best we could, with the grading, the grading and the
Stuff in the
gravel
back.
that had happened in the back.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but the house out front, that's part of this parcel, right?
Yes.
Which, less than optimal there, all the stuff in front of it, are we cleaning that up? Is that part of it? I mean, it's part of the parcel, correct?
It is.
Or am I missing that?
No, I
No, I
think,
think it is.
but I don't recall a lot of stuff in front of it. Maybe you're thinking of a different one?
No, I thought there was, and I don't mean materials, I mean just not very well maintained up front. To me, that's what it looked like, but.
I don't think-
Bushes and trees and kind of.
That may change in the redevelopment of the site, but I don't think that was an area that was indicated when we met with the zoning enforcement officer that there had been an issue. We tried to focus on, some of her concerns relative to the regrading and the kind of the establishment of that gravel pathway up into the back.
Okay.
Teresa?
Skip me for now. Why don't we let Ron or?
Well, yeah, nobody's ready.
Okay, all right, no.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, go
The
ahead.
statement you just made about there's going to be some new application,
Yeah.
could you elaborate on that? Because
I think they they would like to create an addition to the building, establish some, because they're looking to grow the business. The business is growing already, so, they would make some of the gravel parking areas permanent. They'd have to put in new drainage in the parking lot.
So is this new application in lieu of this or in addition to this?
It would be in addition to this. I think the thought when we met with staff, when the notice of violation was issued, that it would be, we didn't want to take advantage of a violation to come forward with a new application. The thought was, come in, resolve the issues relative to the notice of violation, and then come back with a clean slate, if you will, for a new application.
So again, the highlights of the violation were the outdoor storage of excavating equipment, which I believe has been removed.
Well, they
So,
also took down the buffer back there too, didn't they not?
yeah, there's a buffer issue and a grading issue.
But there was some removal of trees.
Trees. So who removed the trees? Were they the people, were they your clients who removed them themselves? Or they hired someone to remove them? I'm just curious.
I don't know if it was them or the contractor that had gone back.
But since they owned it.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. All right, I mean, let's talk a little about the sidewalk. So you are showing them on here, or you're not? They are
On
there?
the new plans, we did show them.
Okay, all right. No, I'm waiting for Ron. Go Ron.
Oh, I'm not going to waive the sidewalks.
Oh, no, I meant go Ron, like, go ahead.
We'll get there.
I had the question
I
about,
mean, as far as just a general comment, I'm usually halfway decent at reading site plans. But because of the scope of the changes and the volume of the comments, 14 from the town engineer, I'm confused. As of tonight, I'm not ready to vote on this one way or another. The only thing I can tell you for sure is I'm not going to waive the sidewalks. But the rest of it, I think your intent is good. I have no problem with the plans you're having. I just can't get straight in my head everything that you're doing right now. So tonight, if a vote were held, I'd have to abstain because I'm not comfortable. But long-term, I get where you're going. I'm cool with it. I just think either I need more time to figure it out, or there need to be a set of plans and engineering comments that don't have so many bold things in them.
I think, and Andy can speak for himself, but in the prior iteration of the plan, we had some things that raised issues like.
Yeah, the first time around I was cool. Second time around, I got befuddled.
so Ron, then, I mean, I'm just asking you this. Would you like to see the whole plan, like,
I'd just like to
not
see
have them.
one clean plan.
I'm glad he said that, 'cause I was having a hard
But with so few
time.
changes that I can figure it out without getting dizzy.
So would it be better if they came back with their whole proposed plan that they want to do?
That'd be a lot simpler.
Okay, I'm,
The only problem is they're not asking for that right now. We can see their response to that.
Again, I'm
but they're-
just
yeah.
saying how I feel. If a vote were held tonight, I'd be abstaining because I am not comfortable with my knowledge and appreciation of what's really being asked for.
We had some conversations, about how to resolve the issue. And again, the violation is sort of three-pronged. It's a outdoor storage that's not approved. It's a thinning of the buffers, which may or may not have occurred with the new owner and may have been something that they kind of inherited from the prior owner. And then there's the issue of the grading in the back. So they've removed the excavation equipment that was there. There's a little more outdoor storage that still would have to be removed. They are attempting to resolve the grading issues, and they're proposing to reinforce the buffers and get the buffers back. A lot of what they cleared, as Bernie indicates, is not a part of the required buffer. More the buffer that had thinned over the years, I think, when we looked at the aerial photos, was on the northerly and southerly property lines in those corners by the zone line. So they're proposing to resolve that. So again, they were trying to come in with a simplified version that didn't involve drainage, subsurface structures, and a larger bond to hold it.
And I would add that I think the plan that was originally submitted that Andy commented on was a little bit of a hybrid. It wasn't the whole enchilada of what because they don't really know exactly what it's gonna look like, but it attempted to expand the parking area and do some
I get
outdoor
it, but
storage area.
Alan just stated an example of my confusion. The first plan had, infiltration things. Andy asked for more information, and they've just been eliminated.
Right.
So my question would be, well, why were they there in the first place, and is it okay to eliminate them? And I don't want to get into that tonight. I'm just saying, multiply that times 14. That's why I'm confused.
And the short answer to that question is we wanted to simplify it. Let's go back to what was
Got it. So
discussed.
bring me a simple plan. I'll probably vote to approve it, but I'm not going to vote to approve this one tonight.
I think that is the simplified plan. I know when you look at the comments back and forth, it gets
Well,
confusing.
has Andy had an opportunity to make comments on this plan?
The one
that
we
would be
received
different?
Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So
then it doesn't make any sense.
All the more reason for me,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, if you're telling me that it resolves all of those issues, then we should at least wait until our professional staff comments on
I
this
think you and
plan.
your client are going in the right direction, don't have a problem. It's just that I don't feel comfortable voting on this plan, the way it's presented now, with the amount of time that staff's had to look at it.
Okay.
and keep those sidewalks.
Are you okay to continue this, Ron? Are you okay to continue this? You want to continue this?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay, well, I just want to know, you're asking me to continue it?
So I understand what you've done, and I understand kind of the situation at this point. There's no particular, I don't think, any onus on you at this point. It would be great to clean up the rest of that outdoor storage, maybe in the interim, before next meeting. I understand you're just trying to clear up what was in the notice.
Yep.
I'm just trying to figure out, so where are we going from here? If we continue this, this is to allow you guys to make comments on, this is their plan, right? And that to comments, to see if all your comments now go away. Or become minimal.
February 16th.
That's what it.
And I just hope you understand how I presented the comments to you. I wanted you to see the prior comments that were listed,
Oh, I got it.
and I wanted you to see how they were updated, just so that you had that history.
Okay,
Too many voices on my.
so Andy, we don't have the updated plan then. Our plan is from February.
Correct,
So we don't even have the,
correct. The comments that you have were based on the February plan.
Hold it, wait, but you do have the updated plan just as we do.
Right.
So the
But the
plans
comments don't reflect that.
that Bernie brought in Thursday afternoon, you have. and they're stamped March 29th on the title sheet. The only problem was we didn't,
March 29th?
Okay, so that's a
Yeah,
different,
correct.
right, got it. We're looking at
They're
this.
stamped received March 20.
correct. Those are-
Okay, got
yep.
it. And that's a different,
Oh, this one.
there's two, that's
Jeez,
why I
we
was
got-
asking, okay.
So our comments,
They could cloud the changes, you know, on
Yeah.
the second page of the site plan.
and it's a little bit deceptive because our comments were not
That's not,
voiced or heard or discussed because the March meeting was canceled.
Right.
So we've lapped, and then they did respond to those initial comments, and our comments reflected that. But this is uncommented on in
Right.
terms of, what I would expect to see is a bunch of items that would be somewhat checked off in terms of this most recent plan. The big change was before the March meeting would have been held, was to scale back everything and just try and address the notice of violation and those issues.
Which is what he's proposing to do, correct?
Yeah.
okay.
Now, if I could, just to,
It's
just
okay.
just a couple of quick things, just a couple of quick observations from what I see here. You know, there was a number of trees, and I don't know how many are trees, but there was a number of trees that were cut down in the back of the property, and you can see that from the aerial. Is there any reason why you're just proposing to plant grass back there? Is there any reason why we're not putting more trees back?
Yeah, the
Just to
reason
remediate that?
would be, one, even though they were taken down, they were not part of the notice of violation. Those trees can be removed. They were not in the buffer, number one, so it wasn't a violation to take those trees down. I could cut trees down in that area. And probably more importantly, we're not proposing trees there because that may be an area where the parking lot gets enlarged, and so that we think is going to become either a parking lot or area in the rear for outdoor storage.
Okay.
What we did do is put the buffer plantings along the side, which either way is required to be there.
Okay. And then one additional question. It concerns me when I see the gravel area in the back being retained, okay? And you say you have, maybe have future plans coming up and all, but, you know,
I thought that was the gravel area to be removed.
well, a bunch of it is, but a bunch of it you're showing it to be retained.
I guess I can't see where you're pointing.
Retained strip right here, retained stable gravel surface. I'm assuming that that's what this hatch refers to.
Yes,
Okay.
that is gravel.
So, you know, the thing that concerns me about that is, number one, you're saying that you're only going to be parking cars in paved areas, not in the gravel. And you're not calling for any outdoor storage. Why is that area gravel? And my concern is that if you provide it in gravel and you say, oh yeah, we're not going to do anything, that as soon as this thing gets approved, suddenly now there's construction equipment parked up there. You know,
It's just existing gravel area on the site that's been there for many years. We haven't done anything to change it. We're not proposing to change it.
okay. And certainly your explanation about future development here, that makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, and that clearly will become a parking area or an outdoor storage area. We've started the design for that in the last iteration, so that would become permanent paved parking. That wasn't, but that, just so we're clear, was not part of the violation.
Okay,
It's just a
understood.
pre-existing gravel area that's been there for many years.
I still think, though, rather than having discussions about this now,
Yeah.
we should get comments from our staff
Yeah, that's fine.
on this,
You're okay with
so that
Brian?
we know on this plan,
Yep.
so that we're not.
I think
guessing.
I've already given the extension, right, for both? Did I get us to
You
May?
did until May 6th, or, yeah.
So we're
So
all
we
set.
we can go that far,
We're
yeah.
going to continue, Brian?
May 6th.
Okay, good enough. All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much. This is Bonnie. This one was continued as well. Okay, so this could be this one here, this one here. Okay, thankfully. Okay, is there someone here for P19-05, which is North Haven Associate Center?
looks like it should be a brief description, right?
So we're gonna get one.
Not like the last one, I hope. Good evening, my name is Jim Rotundo, licensed professional engineer with Godfrey Hoffman Associates, offices at 26 Broadway here in North Haven. Here tonight representing the applicant, the North Haven Surgical Center. They are proposing a 90 square foot addition to their building. It is 5 feet by 18 feet. I have some photographs and elevations I'd like to pass out, kind of help explain what we're going to do here.
Are they stapled together?
Yes.
We'll just call it collectively Exhibit A, okay, Pam? Mary Lee? Thank you.
I'm quite familiar with this building.
Thank you.
The purpose of the addition is this is their central processing room. This is where their surgical instruments are cleaned and sterilized for surgery. The current machines will be replaced with larger, more efficient machines, and to accommodate these machines, the room needs to be increased in size to provide the size for the room, and also for yearly inspection and maintenance to get around those buildings, or get around the machinery, excuse me. In addition, we're proposing a new piece of sidewalk from the parking area to get back into that room where there is an access door. What I passed out to you is, if you look at the top picture, that corresponds to the east elevation on the elevation sheet. The addition will be totally underneath the overhang. There's going to be a modification to that overhang. There'll be a dormer constructed to be able to access the ductwork back into that room from the ventilation units that's located right outside that room area. The second photo is looking at it from the west elevation, just giving you two different views of what's proposed and what is there existing. I do have representatives here from the Surgical Center, if anybody has any questions, but essentially that's the project in a nutshell. This is a non-conforming site, so we did go to ZBA to get approval for enlargement of a non-conforming building, and they did approve it.
You did, you have the approval, okay. Yeah, why don't you, you have someone else who wants to speak and present this?
Do you have anything to add?
Nobody here wants to speak.
No, no,
Is there any
no.
questions?
No, no. Okay.
Only if we have questions.
Only if we had questions for you, man, okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well then, you're good, Jim.
No questions, right?
Just explain to me, I don't have any problem with it, but
No.
this addition is going to be on where this sidewalk is now, so you look in the back, it'll be right on that portion of that sidewalk will essentially be enclosed. Is that right?
That's correct. It won't be, the sidewalk won't be enclosed, the sidewalk will be removed and that room expanded
Right.
out. And that's the reason for this, this new sidewalk that's gonna be put in,
Around
so
it.
you could get access,
So
service access back into there.
as we're looking back at your first photograph, the back of that will be a wall.
Correct. Correct.
Just so that, I wanted to know that I could actually read what these things say.
That's what I told
I'm not good at visualizing. I have no issue.
you. I'm fine, I'm fine.
I'm all set, thank you.
No, that's good.
I'd just like to thank the owner, the engineer, and everyone. This is, what I'd say, 20 tailors around a buttonhole. You know, it's unfortunate, but it's a difficult process. It was totally necessary. I couldn't figure a way around it. Thank you very much for doing it. Hopefully it'll be approved here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have one more, P19-11, Divine Street, Yale New Haven Hospital.
Good evening. I don't want to get too close to this thing because I heard some people up here coughing a little earlier this evening, so I'm going to stand back a little bit. I'll just project. Susan Hayes with Updike Kelly and Spellacy, 100 Pearl Street, Hartford, Connecticut. Here on behalf of Yale New Haven Hospital. As you may recall, we were here, I believe it was last summer, end of the summer, going through an application for site modifications. And we have been under construction, diligently doing all of the site work out there. And as with just about any project that you work on, as you go through them, changes happen. So we sort of made a list of all the changes, went to see Alan, said, what do we need to do, Alan? He said, you need to come in and get a site plan modification. So that's what we're here for. And I've got Eric Lindquist from Ty and Bond who will just walk you through those few changes. And we have Norm Benjamin back in the corner there from Yale if we have any questions that he needs to answer.
Okay, thank you.
Once again, for the record, my name is Eric Lindquist. I'm project manager with Ty and Bond, a professional engineer in the state of Connecticut. Just quickly go over what Susie just had mentioned. Our civil drawings are obviously way ahead of the game when it comes to getting the site application approval through you guys. As the building got refined, some of the mechanical equipment got refined. Some of the features that we had on here before got smaller actually, or got more condensed. So this is the prior approved plan. As you'll recall, we had an oxygen farm up here that had a truck loading backup space there. I'll show it on this drawing too. As part of that, there was some needs, since the delivery vehicle was so large, there was a need to have revisions to the curb back here, some larger curb radiuses and things like that. That's revision one. The reality is what we've done now is we've actually reduced the size of that significantly actually, and we've reduced the size of the delivery vehicle that's required for that tank. So instead of having this whole area being taken up, now we're able to preserve the parking over here and keep this all to one side. So we've actually gained some parking on site by reducing the size of this as well as reducing the size of the delivery vehicle. We've also do not need to do any of the improvements for circulation for the trucks anymore, like that island over here and these changed radiuses that we had here. We can go back to the way they are, or keep them the way they are right now. So that was the first change. Another change, the hospital would really like to have more accessible spaces closer to the building. We have them all along the side here, we have them along the front, we've always been showing that. But we were able to squeeze another space in here without really changing the impervious concerns on site because we saved some impervious coverage over here and a few other places. So we felt we could get another spot in here while still maintaining the landscaped islands and having some spaces right next to the door. So that was a win-win for us. So that was another change. The drop-off really didn't change much, but since we made the change, we have it reflected on the plan. It still stays in the same area. We've just changed the shape of it a little bit to have some different textured pavement in there and things like that to really kind of clarify it to people coming up to the site. They'll now be able to see that a little better with some of the changes we made, some of the paver patterns and things like that. So nothing really significant there at all. The largest change that we're coming to you for today, there's actually twofold, and it's related to the utilities. We had met with United Illuminating on site. Before, we had a series of poles over here that were coming in to service the site. Now that they've had a chance to review the plans, now that we've had town approval, they came back and asked us to make revisions to that, so we have a line of poles up here that goes through this island. In dealing with Alan, we've gotten rid of some of the trees here that they've requested us to get rid of, and we're going to replace them with a lower tree. The ones there now are pretty tall, and they're kind of awkward trees. The landscape architect thought it would be a good opportunity to put some new trees in there that are better suited for the area. So those have been added to the plans as well. And based on that, we've made some soft cut revisions too to come into the site. So that was one of the larger changes. The second is, as you recall from our previously approved plan, we used to have the generator in this area right here. The generator, as we started to develop it, this one actually got a little bit bigger and started to really chew into the space here. And it gave us a moment of reflection because the hospital's one of their biggest concerns is, making this aesthetically pleasing both from the street, from the driveway, from the building. And this generator was kind of sitting out in an island in the middle of the parking lot. So we looked at it and said, as you're driving in, this thing's going to get larger and larger. It's coming down to about here. We're saying that's the first thing you're going to see. It's going to kind of block the building. It's going to be visible from here in the fall months and in the winter. So we started to think about, since we're changing these poles and moving over here, can we do something else to kind of keep it away and bring the parking closer? Because this is very valuable parking spaces for us. They're closer to the building. People that come in here to drop off will then return. It's a good spot for parking cars. So we wanted to maintain that parking if possible. So what we're looking at doing is revising the location of the generator to now provide it in this area here. These parking spaces were on the other side. There was landscaping here and everything, so this wasn't the greatest place to park cars anyways. So now we're keeping it away from the cars. We're putting a priority on the cars that are in this area. We're still going to be able to screen it, so from the building, you'll have a nice screen. From the street, we're really going to beef up the landscaping around the back side of this. So we're outside the building setback line, so we're in a good location for that. And we'll be beefing up the screening in this area as well as maintaining the existing trees that are around there. So it really allowed us to keep the priority on parking, allow this to be screened, because from the street, you're now going to be blocked by all these trees, whereas before it was kind of just sitting out here and highly visible. So I feel this is a win-win situation. We've talked with Alan and gotten his comments and incorporated those. In terms of the drainage, there's an existing catch basin here, so this area still will drain to that catch basin, and nothing really else needed to change other than to do that. And as I said before, the impervious coverage for the site stays the same or slightly decreases. It was really pretty much a wash. So the drainage implications will stay the same as they were before.
So the only other thing to add is that we did receive the review comments from from town staff, and we don't have any issues.
Jim, please.
I have one question. I don't have any problem with any of this, and if you do it with sound staff. What happened with the sidewalk? And remember the last time we were here, it's like, okay, when are we gonna get this done? And you went right out and got it done right up to Harper Turnpike, and then something happened.
Yep, so basically, it's our lovely state DOT.
That's kind
So we went out there and got an encroachment permit early on and submitted our plans, good to go. We went out there, started doing the work, someone else got their eyes on it and said, not good to go. So they added more scope to this, and that required us to go place orders for equipment because they want to change some of the signals, the pedestrian crossing signals. They wanted us to add another ramp across the street. So there's a lot of changes that not only have to get budgeted because this isn't as easily as writing a check, it has to go through a whole process. But on top of that, we actually have to order equipment, we have to do things. So that's why we did all this and we got held up at this corner because they put a hold on it.
Good enough. Thank you.
Teresa?
No, I don't have any issues with anything they're doing on this site.
Ron?
No, good plans, no comments.
Good job.
Staff?
We can do what you had before.
Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you all. We'll take a 10-minute break, folks.
5 is fine. I'm
Okay.
good for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, 10-minute break.
I don't know, whatever.
I don't have any problem with any of it, except it seems like it should be.
How are we doing?
Yep, we're ready, we're ready.
Okay, folks, we're back from the break.
I'm trying to cause debate.
Short break, and we'll go right into continuing the agenda. We'll go into other at this point, as we have 89 Mill Road. Step forward.
Good evening, I'm Arnold Gans, I'm the architect working with the Animal Haven.
Spell your last name.
GANS, and my office is at 157A South Trail, Stratford. We're here because you had approved a site plan for the Animal Haven for the addition. Some of you probably know the addition is almost complete, and we have one little hiccup. There are two condenser units that need to sit outside, and there needs to be a pad for a transformer that UI has requested. So we have added that to our site plan, which you now have, and that is the only thing we're asking for this evening. So there are two small condensers. They're about 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. To explain just a little bit, very briefly, the way the mechanical system works there because of the cats especially.
Very briefly.
Very brief. Okay. We have an awful lot of air changes in each of the rooms. And so we have a very expensive and very complicated mechanical system. That's why you have those drawings added to that. So that's all we're here for this evening.
Yeah, well, we're quite aware it was pretty complicated up there at the time you did that, and I guess, yeah.
My only question, I got no problem with this. My only question is how, so this is a, as we were just talking about, kind of a minor change to the site plan effectively, correct?
Yes, I would say so, yes.
So how does that become incorporated so the site plan reflects for future purposes that these changes were made?
We'll take this document and put it in the application file. When they get to the bond release, they have to do an as-built to get the bond release. We'll pick it up on the as-built. Andy gets a request for the bond release. He incorporates this in with the other plan, and that should be reflected on the as-built when it's complete.
So it's not.
So the record copies the as-built, and he could then recommend to you that it should be, the bond should be released.
I get that, but so the site plan doesn't effectively, technically get amended.
Correct.
But, so it would be 10 years from now, and this isn't really, it's not your application that I care about, but when it becomes a question of what's minor, right? So this
Yes, it
seems
does.
to be very minor.
It certainly does,
So I'm
yes.
on board. So when does it not get to be minor anymore? That was kind of more my question. I don't have any problem with this because I think it is minor.
Okay. Teresa?
I'm fine with this.
Good.
All right, do the condensers make any sound? Is there a sound factor?
No more than any typical air conditioning condenser. It's all part of the system. It isn't a generator. It's just a condenser.
Air conditioning.
You good?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, 348 State Street. Is there someone here for 348 State Street?
341.
341, I'm sorry.
And someone is here.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name's Alex Blank. I'm one of the, BLANK, I'm one of the owners of 12%. We're the folks building the brewery on 341 State Street. We were last here in September. We got our site plan approved with Godfrey Hoffman, and I'm new to this process, and I've since learned that there's more I need to show you. So as we've designed, we've added a few things outside beyond what we showed you previously, and I want to show you what those are and make sure that you have no issues with it. So I sent a note in, but basically, at the bottom of the site plan, we need to add a chiller pad to hold a chiller, which cools down beer. The chiller is about 13 feet wide. My understanding is that rows of parking require islands at the end, so we want to build a 19-foot wide pad and put some trees at the end so that this pad basically functions as islands at the ends of these rows of parking. And we're going to lose about 3 to 4 parking spots, which we plan to put up here at location D. Location D will not exceed 16 spaces, which, as I understand it, is fine. The other two changes, well, the other two things are minor, and one of them you already know about. One, we want to put a pad at the north side of the building to house some condensers for our cold room, which is going to be in this area. And then, I don't know if I need to put this on, but these grain silos, which were previously on our plan, have slid over a little bit to the east. And I thought I'd point that out here.
But they were on the plan already?
These were on the plan
I didn't
already.
remember, okay.
The other ones you're going to add, or you did add?
I am adding right now.
This is his adding process, is what he's saying.
Thanks.
So this is back to the same thing I was saying before. Are we okay just saying this is minor enough just to do it this way? And I would rely on our staff and actually, honestly, Ron, Is this minor that we don't need? At what stage do you need it to be a site plan change? Like essentially what Yale came in, not Yale, the surgical center came in was not a whole lot different than this, right? It was a
See, the problem, the surgical center, 52 Washington,
Yeah.
we're adding building. You have 1 square foot of building and you gotta come in.
Okay, so a slab is not building?
Slab is not building, no. So that equipment would be eligible. I mean, I would say C is a slight relocation, but it was already there.
Right.
A is new, B is new, D is a residual issue. If you take out, we're gonna take out parking spaces, so he's just showing you would add those over there. So I do defer the commission. I have to say, I appreciate all of you folks entertaining things under other. It really helps a lot. It helps business owners, it helps property owners, it helps staff. That's great. I don't want to push it too far. I think this is a reasonable thing. When I spoke with Eric Lindquist about Yale New Haven Hospital's changes, I pointed out that, look, you got a few things here that are spread all over the site that are a little bigger than just a little pad, you know, a little bigger than that. If the commission decides that this warrants a site plan, you're gonna lose a month. And Eric went and talked to Susie and they said, we don't want that. Please, let's just do the site plan, and they did.
So, just a quick question to you, do you ever consider a monetary amount on what they're doing, to whether it's gonna be over to us, or do you guys decide?
That's one of those sort of Freudian questions in a way.
I did major in
No,
philosophy.
That was tricky. I don't look at it that way. I look at it in terms of construction. And I'll bet you there's a connection between the two ways of looking at it. But I don't really look at it
Okay, just
monetarily.
curious, okay.
You good? Are we good?
I'm good.
Okay, Teresa?
I'm fine.
I'm good.
That's why.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir. All right, 455 Second Point Road.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jason Sweetman. I'm the S-W-E-E-T-M-A-N. I'm the maintenance manager at Connecticut Container at 455 Second Point Road, Division of Unicorn Packaging Group. We're here tonight to discuss a slab off the back of the building that's going to hold our dust collector system for a new machine put in. That's it.
That's it? It's just a slab off the back of the building?
Yeah, 16 foot by 30 foot with the dust collector on it.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask for the,
Collect that dust, okay, I'm fine.
I'm good. Rich, are you good?
I'm all set with it.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
My paper.
Okay, go to change the use at 444 Washington Avenue.
Good evening. My name's Jennifer Butler, and I'm the owner of On Layer Studio Dance at 444 Washington Avenue. So I'm just looking to expand into the units next to where I'm currently located.
So the one directly next to it, you're just gonna take the wall down or whatever?
Yes.
And
it's
just expand into that?
Yes, yep. The chiropractor office that was located there recently moved, so their space is opened up, so I'm just looking to add.
So if you look at your front door, it's a space to the right, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so when you're looking at that building, I'm the unit all the way to the right, so this would be like the middle-ish part also.
And she did wait patiently through our little storm dilemma last month, and so on and so forth. I thank you for that.
We're sorry, I couldn't reach you.
No problem.
Rich, you got any questions?
No questions.
Ron?
I'm good.
Nope.
nope.
Okay, you're all set. Thank you. Okay, that takes care of that. Can I get a motion to go into deliberation?
Motion to go into deliberation.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Jim, you wanna make a, for the 824?
Sure. I'll make a motion on the 824 referral that there be a positive referral for
Right.
the construction of the bridge.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay, fine. Now we go down,
Do you want to do the others in the change of use before we get into the big stuff?
That's what Teresa
I
was
was just
saying
saying
too.
that too, yeah.
you wanna do,
I do,
Oh,
The
the stuff-
others and the change of use, so
Yeah.
people can go home.
okay.
right.
Hey, can I get approval on Animal Haven, 89 Mill Road?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Teresa?
Yep.
Yeah.
okay. Can I get a motion to approve 341 State Street?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Whichever.
oh, I thought you were making a motion.
Everyone's seconding the
Let
brewery,
Ron.
okay?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and a motion to approve 455 Saca Point Road.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, come on.
Okay, all in favor?
Ron.
Ron and Teresa.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're all in favor.
Ron and Teresa. Ron made it.
Yeah,
Teresa
we'll
seconded.
alternate as we go forward.
Can I have a motion to approve 444 Washington Avenue?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night. Okay, good night, Irene. Okay, that takes care of that then.
Yeah.
We'll go back up to the top, and we will go to two-lot subdivision on Middletown Avenue, 678 Middletown Avenue, P19-07. I'd like to have a motion to approve this with a waiver of the sidewalk, simply because it is such geographically situated, there is nothing there.
I'll make a motion to approve this application with the waiver of the sidewalks.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Reluctantly, aye.
Yes, I made it
Yeah.
reluctantly. so-
Understand, for purpose of discussion, the difficulty of listening to that there aren't any there means you never get them.
You're absolutely correct.
I will, however, this site I think is kind of unique because there's really
When it's-
nothing
When
anywhere.
it's purely residential, the likelihood of
Of us getting a
filling the gaps
continuation.
in our lifetime is pretty small.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's
the
still like,
cemetery
I'm still
across the
reluctant
street.
because I would love to get people off the road, but I don't see how we're ever going to get them up there,
Yeah.
so. Along those
Okay,
lines,
we take,
I said aye.
first we take the, on P1909S, the special permit application for the Slate School, for the greenhouse. Can I get a
I'll make a
motion?
motion to approve the Slade School application.
I will
Okay,
second,
that's-
I will second
This
that.
is the
I'm
special,
not voting on
okay,
this.
good. This
I'm
is,
sorry, who made the motion, Jim?
Jim, this is for the special permit.
Right,
Okay.
That was
Let's make
P1909,
motion.
right? Yeah.
yes, and I second it.
All right. Who,
Jim and Teresa.
he did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's good.
All
Now,
right, we didn't have any outstanding issues there, right?
no.
Well,
I don't think so.
Okay, I want to take for the Slate School, the P1909, which is number 12, to approve the site plan for that. And a motion to approve the site plan. That was a special permit we approved there, Jim.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the site plan.
And I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. We have that on. Wait.
P1909.
09, two from the bottom.
Okay, then we gotta get the heck on now.
We're down
Okay, now we're down to number 11, 19-05, and this is North Haven Surgical, surgeons over here. The motion to approve the addition that they want to do there.
I'll make a motion to approve that addition.
Can I get a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Go on to 14, which is P-11, Yale on Divine Street, their application to make the changes on their, and the additional stuff on the site plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the additions to the site plan, and I want to express my appreciation for explaining what happened with the sidewalks.
Okay?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All the way down now, can I get a motion to approve the correspondence?
I'll approve the correspondence.
Okay?
I don't know that we really need to do that.
Yeah, I don't think we do either,
All
but
right.
I will say, the letter that I got said there was something attached to it. I didn't think I got, was there an attachment?
We got the Piper's on a couple.
Yeah, it's the,
Yeah.
I just
That
have
was
a
the last
question, I just didn't see anything.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, was that the Quinnipiac River
Yeah.
watershed from Marjorie Shansky? Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that. We only have 2 copies, but it's a substantial thing that we didn't bother again.
Fair enough.
If you want to take a
I'll
look.
come and look at it, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Good. I want to get a motion to approve the, well, the problem, what we had, I just want to talk about this a little bit. Last month we had, or a month before that, we had a misunderstanding of what how we handled the fire marshal's comments. And we still have Piper's application on Clintonville Road to address. The application is done, and we need to approve it or deny it at this meeting. This is a zone change to EH, elderly housing zone, on that parcel of property. It is right next to the Tuscan Villa, this side of it. Can I get a motion to approve the change of zone from residential to EH? Can I get a motion to approve that?
Because of the fact that at least my questions were answered by virtue of the letter from both the first selectman and the fire marshal, saying that the fire marshal no longer has any concerns, I will make a motion to approve this application.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, and a second.
I'll second that.
All right, but we need to have some discussion on this.
Okay.
one,
Okay.
We want some
We need not
discussion?
to just
We
move
have a
forward
motion.
and take a
Good
vote.
enough. Go ahead.
So I understand what you are saying, and I agree with you to the extent that the issue about the fire marshal, I think, is resolved as much as we can have it resolved,
For the time being.
for the time being. I think the first selectman responded and said what the plans are, and the fire chief said that was satisfactory to him. So from the safety issue, there's no longer, in my opinion, a safety issue for us to get involved in, at this point, anyway. That being said, I still had, one of my problems there is twofold. One, I don't want another market rate apartment building. And if we are, if that's where we are, we should put a restriction on it that some portion of it be affordable because it's making us go backwards. Now, we can say for our elderly housing districts going forward that there has to be some percentage of affordable. And I would say it should be 25%, not even 20, so that we actually start making inroads. I'm not in favor of, even if we do that, I'm saying it flat out, I'm not in favor of an apartment building there. I know other people feel differently, which is fine. I mean, that's why we all have brains and we can use them. So I just want to put on the record that I'm not in favor of another apartment building, but if you're going to do it, I think you should have a portion of it be affordable as a we're changing the district, as this district should have more than that. And I think you can, and I know you're going to tell me, well, that's a site plan issue, not necessarily. I think we could say for this elderly housing district, some percentage, because we don't know exactly how many units are going to be. They gave us a proposal, we don't know, but some percentage should be affordable.
Well,
that's my take.
I did discuss this, just what we're talking about here, tying it into the approval here. And I was advised not to tie it in with the
Well, I think that advice is
zone
wrong.
change.
Why is that?
I think that advice is wrong.
Well, that's okay. Well, we can discuss that as well, but we won't discuss it now.
Well, we have to
No, we have
discuss
to
it.
No, we don't have to
discuss
discuss
it, because why not tie it into the change?
Do we have a zone such as that now at this point? We have an EH zone.
Okay. I'm not town council.
No.
My understanding of the law is that we can't condition a zone change in that manner. They've asked if they voluntarily said, oh, we don't have any problem to condition it on that. I remember we did the zone change for Clintonville Manor and put a cap on the units, you know, and they agreed to it, or you could say they volunteered, okay, whatever. They were agreeable to it. I think that, I don't want to get involved with whether that's appropriate or not. That's not my issue. That's absolutely out of what I do. But I believe that the special permit that is required by any application would be the time to do that.
But
So
if-
I don't.
Here's the difficulty with that, is at that point, you're only relying upon our elderly housing district regulations, and our ability to control things are within the definitions of that elderly housing district, which is extremely broad. So I don't know that we can force them to do it, and we'll end up in more of a lawsuit. So that's just my reason why I wouldn't do it, you know, it's like.
So
I
who
would-
told you?
What is exactly that you want to do there?
I want to deny it.
Yeah, okay,
Number one.
well,
Okay, so, but if we're not gonna deny it, I would require that any application in this elderly housing district have a minimum of 25% affordable.
I don't think we have the ability to do
Well,
that.
no, why, but I'm not understanding why we don't have the ability to do it.
Because I don't
Well,
think
I
that,
understand
I
what the
don't
argument
think we can
is. I'm not
just sit
sure
here
whether
as
it's
a
right or not.
commission and say, we have an EH zone and also we're gonna, well,
Look who's here.
wait a second, at the right time. Jennifer Capola just walked in as town council. Please make note of that, and I'm gonna be calling on her in just a moment.
Sorry about that.
So what I'd like to do is get a motion to go out of deliberation at this point.
Well,
Well, she
you can
yeah, she
have
can advise
chief
us
staff
during deliberations.
deliberations.
to the commission, and she can speak during deliberations, sure.
She's
Okay.
nodding her head.
I'm gonna ask town council Jennifer Capola to address the commission in respect to this, the EH zone.
So you want Jim to ask the question?
Let me explain the issue.
Why don't we try that?
So there's a motion to approve the elderly housing district on the Piper property.
Okay.
Okay? And I have my issues about it, but aside from that, if we were to approve it, I would want to require that there be a percentage of affordable housing in that district. That doesn't mean they agree with me, but I'm saying that we should condition it. And Vernon's telling me legally we can't.
Well, you said you wanna put 25%.
I don't care what.
Affordable.
We want to
I
put
don't
a
think we can put a
percentage.
number on that.
I could say 90%.
Well, whatever, but I mean, I
So
think it's
again,
gonna
I
be.
think Jim's trying to clarify what
Is
he's
it legal or
saying.
not?
I just want to clarify to you, the idea is Jim's saying to put that condition on the zone change.
Correct.
Not on the special permit at this point. We're at the zone change level.
And explain the reason why.
Yeah, no, because I'm concerned at the special permit level, we may not be able to.
As I understand it, your elderly housing reg does not have any affordable component in it,
That's
correct?
correct.
Right.
Okay, yeah,
That's why it's a problem, right? Yeah, so that's what,
it is a problem.
so, but
Have you made inquiry of the applicant if
Yeah,
they
he
would
said no.
agree to it?
he's sitting over there.
So
He said,
the problem
okay,
is when
some
we
part.
get to the actual special permit, we're now gonna throw up, 100 and something more houses and push us further back. So is there a legal reason why we cannot do it
That's what the question was.
do it tonight?
And remember, the board may not agree, but if we were so inclined, what says that we cannot?
Well, the
And
fact
considering.
that it's not in your reg, I mean, it's not in your regulation.
So if that's your argument, then we can't do it at the site plan either.
So we can never
We
ask
can't make
for it.
them do it.
I think we can
Well,
ask him to
You
do.
can always ask for it.
Well, we already
and I
asked.
think I've given that advice to you before.
I think he's well willing to give us
I
what
know
we
what
want
you're,
on this.
I know what you're saying,
But
that's
what
why.
I'm saying to you,
said
what you
no.
can't do, what you want to do
Well, no,
tonight.
hold
Well, I
on, just
wanna
to
get by.
clarify, I just had a note when the public hearing was held that the applicant offered 10%
Okay, well-
affordability. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
To put us backwards, but, okay, he did, he went like this, so, yes, he offered some. So, I mean, so for my 2 cents, if we were so inclined, I would still put that regulation, and if it turned out that it doesn't get upheld, it doesn't get upheld.
But
I would
because,
still do it.
and I'm gonna say something about that, because, you know, when the applicant stood before us last month, or 2 months ago, it was because he said that he's getting phone calls, or the first selectman getting phone calls about affordable housing options for seniors in the town. So, you know, that sort of boosts my support of what you're saying. Because we can't control what the apartment prices are going to be. And if indeed we're getting a clamoring, and I agree, I get questions about it too. So if we're getting people asking for something affordable and they're seniors, why not tie this together?
Jennifer, my question, I think, is fairly simple. If we wanted to impose a condition on an approval, is it more appropriate to do it during the zone change or the site plan?
I think given what you're talking about, it would be more appropriate in the site plan or special permit stage to impose the condition. That would be my instinct on it. I have not actually ever researched the issue.
Right.
Of whether, you know, I know you have never done this before.
Correct.
But I don't know whether another planning and zoning commission somewhere in the state has imposed such a condition in an instance where they don't have it written in the rec.
And
So
my
I
concern
would
is.
like to look at that.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but we're kind of, and we've held them off for a while, and we answered one of our big issues. You know, my concern is what you're telling me is that I'm not sure we can do it at all with our current regulation, which is a problem. So I'm not sure there's a difference between one or the other, so.
So you're saying we can't impose the condition that Ron?
She didn't say we can't.
Right, I'm trying to
She said she thought it
understand
was
that.
more appropriate to do it during the site plan than during the zone
Okay,
change.
so then, could we impose that that condition during site plan?
Or
That's
Site
why-
plan.
It's a special
Or
permit.
some special permit, I'm sorry.
Special permit.
Right, so
And
can
I
we?
think if you can tie it to one of the standards within your rec,
But that's a problem, because our
justify it,
reg doesn't
then-
say anything about affordable. So we're gonna run into the same difficulty, that's my only point. So we're gonna run into the same problem again
Which
at the
is
next level.
why the argument goes back to.
So why don't we do it now?
Do it
If
now.
we're inclined to do it, I'm not saying we're inclined to do it anyway, I am, but I would deny the application going forward regardless of the issue, so.
You know, however you're gonna vote, you're gonna vote. It's not my application. The one thing I would sort of hearken back to is we had a request for a revision to the hotel regulation a short time ago. We were gonna try and add something to that, and the applicant rejected that. The applicant said, look, I don't want to get involved with too much more than what my client needs. I just want this. No, I don't want you to impose that. And you said, and I think wisely so, that, okay, fair enough, we'll approve what you asked for. This was your request. We could approve it or deny it, but we have certain limitations on being able to modify it. You understand what I'm saying? They didn't offer this up.
Specifically, correct.
So you'd be saying their request is to go to EH without that. Okay, so that's their request. You know, again, you can do what you want, but, you know, to me,
I
they
know
said,
that's-
no, this is what I want. It's just the EH.
I want the EH without any requirement of affordability, or not without more than 10% requirement of affordability, to be fair to the applicant. So,
Well, we're at zero if he's offered 10%. So if we approve this, we're standing tomorrow the same as we are today.
No, you're adding,
We're not adding anything because we're gonna get 10%.
We'd be improving our
When you-
numbers. We'd be
You'd actually
improving
be
our
getting
numbers
slightly
at
better.
10%.
Right.
Maybe
No,
not
no,
as
you're
much as other.
adding
Would be staying even.
The
few,
requirement
The
is 10%.
percentage would
Yeah.
go up.
Well, if we're at 5.5 now,
5%
and
We're
you
going
get
up to
10.
5.5,
you're-
but
you're
we
going
would
up
be gaining
incrementally.
nothing.
No, we would be gaining. Mathematically, we'd be getting closer to 10%. Not as close as people might like, but it would be improve upon the current percentage.
have
No,
you added
no,
Because
120
we're gonna put
units?
100 in.
The number is irrelevant. It's the percentage that's relevant.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And what's required is 10%. So all they're doing is proposing something to keep us in the same place we
No,
are
right now, we're at
It'll be
just
a
over
little-
5%.
No, I get that, Ron, but the only way we're going to get to the 10% if we start some of these projects getting more than 10%. Otherwise, we can't get to
We're
10%, right?
I agree that it should be, in my opinion, more than 10%. But that doesn't change the mathematical fact that if we go to 10%, it will improve where we are now.
But we will, yes, so we go from 5.25 to 5.5, but unless we start all of our applications saying we gotta get more than 10,
I'm agreeing
we can't
with-
get to 10.
I'm agreeing with you, Jim. I'm just saying that 10% would
I believe
improve,
you're both
just not
right.
that much.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I
Let
hear
me-
what he's saying, and here's what I'm
Let me-
saying, so that's
Let me ask you a
why.
question, Jennifer. Taking this application off the table, if we didn't want to be in this position a year from now, what are our alternatives? What can we do so that if somebody comes before us a year from now, we don't have to worry about overstepping our bounds? Do we have to change the reg? What do we have to do?
You should be changing the reg.
Yeah.
Right.
You should amend the reg.
Amend the EH Reg
Right.
2.5 and add a paragraph
And
that
have the
states an
discussion of what
affordability
we need to do.
component.
And
That's
is it
correct.
safe to assume it's too late to do that now?
Too late to do it now, is right.
It is safe to say.
It is safe to assume,
For
because
this
they've submitted the application under your current regs.
Thank you, you've answered my
Can we
question.
move forward here?
Which is okay, so
Okay.
it supports
Jim,
my
are you okay?
reason to deny it, but.
Okay, I got you, man, I got you. But I just want to know if you're satisfied.
Am I,
No, are you
am I
satisfied?
satisfied with the answer?
No.
Yeah, she said,
Okay.
I don't know.
Teresa, you okay? Are you okay? And you're okay?
no, I'm not,
Okay.
no, if you're asking me
Well,
if
we
I'm
gotta-
agreeing, I am not
we gotta
supporting
move-
this.
We need to move forward.
I-
We need to
That's
move
what
forward, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not supporting it, because
Okay.
I don't want EH.
I'm not asking you what you're gonna vote, I just want you to
Okay,
know.
fine, I'm satisfied with Jennifer, yes.
Okay, good, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, I have a motion, and I have a second. Now I'm asking, is any more discussion?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
that was my point, yes. I
Okay.
I am not supporting this text amendment, I'm not supporting it because, again, I understand people are saying that it's next to Tuscan Village. It's really not next to Tuscan Village, it's tucked away over here. We are proposing to put 120 possible units right on the corner in the middle of a residential district. Residential, houses, 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 houses. Not next to the railroad tracks, not tucked behind the trees. You're putting a big apartment building right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good enough, good enough. Is that your point?
Indeed.
Okay, are you, good?
I still don't know what are you.
I gotta, okay, discussion,
I'm not good at it.
discussion is over. I'm gonna call for all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
3-2, it carries. Okay. Now, one more. Is there anything else to come for a commission?
Only the
Minutes.
Well, yeah, I know that, but before I get to that.
I read that I was actually there, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Good. Have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. A motion to adjourn.
No, don't do that.
Motion
Right.
to-
And now you want to deal with the executive
Right.
session.
Well, I was gonna do that. I was
But
gonna-
we're not going to adjourn, it's not a separate meeting, it's
No,
still
that's
part
right.
of this
That's
meeting,
right.
okay?
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session and invite the town attorney and staff.
Correct.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Folks, whoever's gonna have to leave the,
We will, they're going
We're
to
gonna
come
do it right
back.
now.
We're on now.
We are? Okay.
Okay, good enough.
All right, I'll make a motion that we come back out of executive session.
I'll
Okay,
second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I get a motion to adjourn.
Hold on,
No,
hold on
no,
first.
no.
What's going on here? Hang on. Hold on. Oh, no, I'm not going. Not yet. I'm gonna be, now I am, sorry.
Do we need to make a motion again to?
Please.
Okay, I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
And I'll second it again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Well, I told my wife I would.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.